Nootbaar streaks to third, and the Cardinals are back in front with a fist pump from Joel Pozo. In the air to right, long run. Nootbaar coming on, still coming, dives! Wow. And makes a great catch. Last moment, Nootbaar dives and makes a grab in foul ground, an unbelievable catch. Swing, drive, hit toward right, Newt is there, and the Cardinals have won it. JoJo Romero nails it down. What a game, what pitching.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, it's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. That's what it sounded like last night on FanDuel Sports Midwest. Alex, I'm going to disclose something that I don't feel great about, but it's the truth. I had so much jealousy last night. I had so much jealousy, and really it's over the last 4 or 5 days. As I'm watching these games on the broadcast, they feel so big. They're not. In no way, shape, or form do these games really matter for the Cardinals.
Man, I stayed up last night.
But, dude, as I'm watching yesterday at Dodger Stadium or previously out at Petco Park in San Diego, I'm watching these games, and I'm like, the environments are amazing. The teams they're going up against make it feel as if it's a really big series. You see Shohei, Mookie, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith are in the series against the Padres. You've got Machado on the other side, Fernando Tatis Jr., Jackson Merrill. You've got these like legit MVP candidates, guys that feel larger than life. They're the faces of not only their franchise, but the sport. And the Cardinals go in there last night, and they win. And they come up with these huge plays. Sonny Gray looks amazing. And Lars Nootbaar makes a play that I didn't know he was capable of that, frankly, going down the line.
Look on his face. I don't know if he knew he was capable of it when he came up with
Masyn Winn
it.
hits a huge homer. Same thing for Ivan Herrera. Big pinch hit spot. They bring in, the one, the only, Joel Pozo. His big ass is running down the line.
Whoa.
Fist pumping all the way down.
Damn.
It felt big. And Alex, 3 seconds later after the game comes to an end, you're reminded. You go over to the ESPN.com standings and you see, oh yeah, that didn't matter at all.
Yeah.
None of it. Not a second of it mattered for anything beyond just, oh, cool. Masyn Winn hit a home run. Ivan Herrera hit a home run. Lars Nootbaar made a big play in the outfield. Those are all good things for us to evaluate. Because ultimately, that's all this is. It's just an evaluation period. And so I have become so envious of what's going on right now in LA, in San Diego, because for them, these games do matter. And last night was a crushing loss for the Dodgers, or at least a frustrating one, where they had every opportunity to win, and they couldn't find a way to come through in the biggest possible spots. So, Alex, all I can feel right now is jealousy and envy.
Yeah, that's a good thing to have on a Tuesday. Jealousy and envy. That's how you make it through life. I mean, we all should have been reacting the same way Lars Nootbaar was reacting when he made that final out last night at the bottom of the ninth. Like, we all should have been looking at this as like, hey, Cardinals are still alive. But you know why it didn't matter? Because the previous series, you couldn't come up with the win against the San Diego Padres to make it tighter. Like, I fall back to what Anthony Stalter's tweet was after the trade deadline of like feeling like, I hate being in this spot. And when you play teams like this, it reminds you of that. Like, that was a game that we all should have been celebrating. It should have been at least a little bit of spirits lifted in terms of like, hey, you're headed into August. This is the playoff push for Major League Baseball teams. And you just went up against the Dodgers, who you beat earlier this season, and you beat them once again. Sonny Gray pitched like an ace. Your defense comes through with big moments. But the Cardinals did the damage to themselves 2 months ago that put them in this position so that these games don't matter. It's not like the Cardinals have been bad all season. It started in June, and you never dug yourself out of this hole. So, yeah, it's right to have jealousy because all you see are these two teams, San Diego, L.A., that throw money at their problems, that go out there and are aggressive with their moves, and they say, we're going to continue to push for another World Series. And yet the Cardinals are stuck where they're at, leaving a lot of hope for fans when they see these types of games.
Yeah, and like this just shouldn't be the normal for the Cardinals. This is 3 Augusts in a row that you've kind of been out of it. At this point, I think we were starting to come to grips after their Fetty, Pham, Armstrong deadline, where it was like, oh, yeah, okay, we're not that good. And like 2 weeks from now, I think is when we're going to have on this date in history, they put them on waivers and lost them for nothing. That's what it was for me. I remember 2022 when you get into the home stretch, because this is about that time where playoff baseball really starts to occur when you're having matchups like this, where you're going into LA, you're going up against the Dodgers.
Yeah, look at the stretch, dude. San Diego, LA, Chicago. Like, this should have been huge.
Awesome. And instead, it's just like, we're kind of
you
just
win
go through
and it's
the
like,
motions.
cool.
Like,
Congrats.
that game was fun last night, and I love a good baseball game, no matter who's playing. But then, like,
That game rocked. Like, that was an amazing baseball game.
5 minutes after that game ended, after I'd come off my little mini high, I went, oh, wait. Thinking about, like, what we're going to talk about tomorrow, it didn't matter. Like, okay, cool, you beat the Dodgers. You can take 2 or 3. You can sweep the Dodgers. You know what matters? None. Doesn't matter at all for what you're trying to accomplish, because it's all about runway now. You put yourself in this spot, and you're in a rebuild. Why? It's hard for me to get excited when you have those type of games. Even though that was fun as hell in the moment, it took me 5 minutes to come back down to earth to realize where we're at.
We got a couple of messages on the YouTube chat. YouTube.com/101ESPN STL is the place to go to get involved. Also, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. From NY, you guys can still celebrate the win. From IROC, the city definitely got spoiled with winning. It was an awesome game. It was awesome to watch. Also from T25STL, yeah, I celebrated the win. I don't know what y'all are on. Being jealous for the rest of the season because we are a middling team is anti-sports. Quote, we're out of it. Time to spite the team for the rest of the season. I hope you guys know by now that's not what I'm doing at all. I just left that game yesterday feeling like this sense of envy of what they have and what we don't any longer. Their stadium is rocking. Their fans are super into it. The same thing was true in San Diego. So I'm not going to be doing this the rest of the year, because I don't think that, like, when they go to Miami and Tampa Bay on that road trip, I don't anticipate having the same
Not
envy.
going to be jealous of Tampa Bay?
I don't think I'm going to be envious of the Tampa Bay minor league ballpark that they're playing in, or Miami with 20,000 empty seats, or Cincinnati where they have the same attendance as you. That's not going to feel the same. But these parks where you're going in, I felt this way, honestly, after the Chicago series, where the Cardinals went up to Wrigley 4th of July weekend. It was rocking the whole time. They've got their homegrown star somewhat in PCA. Michael Busch, definitely a homegrown star. They went out and they made the aggressive addition with Kyle Tucker. So yeah, I have that in me right now where I want that. I want to be able to go down to Ballpark Village before the game, the way that I did for the Savannah Bananas, and feel the anticipation of what's going to happen at the park that night. I want that back so badly. And the recognition, the understanding that we are so far away from that being the case again here in St. Louis, it's really hit me over the last couple of weeks. You guys might have noticed that.
I can tell.
And it hurts, man. I don't enjoy that. That is not what this city is supposed to be. That's not what Cardinals baseball is supposed to be. And it feels so far away.
And here's the other problem with it, too, because from the 217 on our Air Comfort Service text line, you guys kill me. We're rebuilding, never said to be contenders. Only person you can blame for getting your hopes up is yourselves. It's not about that they're rebuilding is where we're frustrated at. It's that they still don't have a direction. Like, they didn't sell us necessarily on a rebuild, so I would that's the thing.
push back on that.
Katie was the one that said it's a rebuild. Like, we were told it was a refresh. We were told it was resetting the books, and then next year they're going to spend back to where they've been in the past. And now that's going the opposite direction.
And they were going to buy up until 2 weeks before the deadline. So
there's been zero direction with this team for the last 3 years. 3 years ago, they were pretending like they were still World Series contenders. 2 years ago, they were pretending that way. And now we're at a position to where it's like, yeah, we're selling off pieces, but we're only selling off our pending free agents. We still have a clog in terms of position players. This isn't a team that has a direction. So why I'm envious is because I'm seeing other teams that have direction with where they're going. Hell, look at the Cincinnati Reds now. Like, they were where you were 2 years ago, and at least they're competing for a playoff spot now.
The Cubs.
I'm envious because these teams have a direction and they back up their direction with their actions. And instead, the Cardinals don't have a direction. They're telling us one thing, they're not doing the other, and you're feeling stuck every single time you watch.
Yeah, that's how I would put it, if I'm being honest. I don't know what the plan is moving forward. And I think that is the part that adds to the frustration. Like, that game, no matter what, to me, was not going to mean anything. Whether this was 2023, 2024, 2025, at the point where you're in the we sold off our pieces move. But the part that is frustrating and it's just hard to sit and wait until the offseason is okay, what is the plan? What is the plan to get back into contention? And the only answer that there seems to be right now is, hey, well, we got to figure out how we're going to kind of homegrown our own star. Oh, but you've never been that, as we've talked about for multiple times now at this point. And it's hard to see where that is coming. It's hard to see a direction when that is the answer of, well, we just got to kind of draft and develop. That can take years before you're back at that spot. So that's the part where I agree with Alex. Until you see a laid out plan, which may not be until we finally hear from Chaim Bloom, well, then I start to be like, okay, now I understand where this is going.
MO says over on the YouTube chat, BK, this is your talk radio summer life for a while. Guess you're going to be going through the 5 steps.
Someone texted and said, wait, now your chat is deciding to be positive? Out of all of the pushback we get for being positive, now they're trying to be the positive ones? I
am going through the 5 steps, yes.
Yeah.
Like, that is 100% what is happening right now.
The problem is you go through the 5 steps every single season. Where, like, you believe it, and then you're like, oh, wait, this isn't happening, and then you have to come to terms with it.
We also got this from MO. The plan is long. It's not a good thing in our quick satisfaction society. I don't think it has to be long. I think that is where I would disagree. I think that they are choosing for it to be long. They can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. They can. They are choosing not to. I get resetting the books and not going out there and throwing the next 4-year, $80 million contract at the problem. I totally get that. But there are teams that can do this where they look at where they're at, and I don't think the Cardinals roster is that far away. It requires significant investment, though. You've got to be able to piece this thing together and say, okay, these are the guys we're building around. These are the guys we're not. Let's churn through some of this roster cycle, and then we'll make some big trades to go out there and get a Joe Ryan, who T-Bone's going to be talking to you about for the next 6 months. We'll go get ourselves somebody that can be a middle-of-the-order bat. Go find your Michael Busch. You know how the Cubs acquired him? They traded for him. You know where? The Dodgers. And immediately, he was a big-time piece in the middle of their order. Go find your version of Kyle Tucker. They traded for him. They gave up some pieces that were really good. Cam Smith is a stud for the Houston Astros. He's a big part of what they're going to be, not just this year, for the next 5 to 7 years probably. So go find that for you. They're choosing not to do so. They are choosing to go the path of, well, we need to get cheap and young and sustainable and flexible, and all of this means cheap. They're just synonyms for cheap. That's fine in theory. But when you go this direction, there is no guarantee of it getting back to where it was previously. And that's my fear. That's my concern. And that's why I'm envious and jealous when I watch the Dodgers and the Padres, or I watch the Mets, or I watch the Phillies, or I watch in the American League a team like the Tigers. These teams are really doing it right now, man. They're getting their fans excited. The Toronto Blue Jays. These teams are investing in what they have internally. Meanwhile, the St. Louis Cardinals are not. He's Alex. It's T-Bone. I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN.
Good win though last night. Good win.
Great win.
It was genuinely a great win, but all I could feel was envy as I watched it. Also,
can we call it really a great win then?
The Dodgers are definitely going to try to trade for Sonny Gray and Lars Nootbaar this offseason, right?
Yeah, but Sonny Gray will say no.
Loves the free zoo.
And the Cardinals will be like, oh, we can't give up Lars.
Dude,
if the Dodgers want Lars, we can't
Sonny
give
would
him.
be so good there.
Oh, yeah.
It is, no pun intended, sunny and like between 70 and 80 degrees every night.
That is prime Sonny Gray weather.
It would be amazing. That's why he was so good last night.
Luckily, you got 3 California teams to choose from.
I mean, he would pitch regularly in San Francisco, Arizona, which is, indoor, and L.A.
And San Diego, probably.
And San Diego. Be pretty good
Sorry,
spot
those
for
are
him.
all on his no-trade clauses. Milwaukee or
Colorado,
Cincinnati.
no humidity. He doesn't have to worry about sweating through his jersey 7 times a day.
He won't pitch well in Colorado.
Hell no.
The elevation would be a
Hell
problem.
no.
All right, in 15 minutes, we're going to talk to Jeremy Ruther. He talked earlier today with the head coach of the Blues, Pius Suter, and Bukestad about where they fit into the Blues' plans this season. We'll talk to JR about all of that in about 15 minutes. But next, are the Cardinals making a mistake with the way that they're approaching playing time down the stretch? We'll talk about this here on BK and Ferrario.
Alex Ferrario with you to talk about my friends out at Classic Air Care, a company that has been taking care of my HVAC system since 2016, and a company that has been taking care of the Ferrario family, my dad's home, for the last 30 years. And it comes with the customer service, it comes with the knowledgeable technicians, but it also comes with helpfulness. And let me tell you, with an HVAC system, that's very important. At this time of the year when it's super hot out, if something goes wrong, you need answers, and you don't need answers a week from now when they can finally squeeze you into their schedule. You need it right away. And that's where the maintenance agreement can help. If you sign up for the maintenance agreement with them, which what it entails, twice a year in the fall and in the springtime, you get your yearly or bi-yearly cleaning. They come out and they clean the unit, check the unit. But when issues pop up, because you're a part of that maintenance agreement, you get priority scheduling. It's something that I have used multiple times with the older units that we've had in our homes. And speaking of those older units, if you're in the market for a new one, make sure you check out classicaircare.com. They have an instant HVAC system quote on their website. You answer 4 questions and you'll get a price right there on your browser to give you an idea of what you're looking at. Plus, they have financing options available for you. Use the company that's been making people comfortable since 1926. It's Classic Air Care and classicaircare.com.
And T-Bone on BK. So the Cardinals are going through this retool, rebuild, refresh, runway season, whatever you want to call it. And down the stretch, they're figuring out new and interesting and unique and different ways to get everybody into the lineup. This is a youth league team.
That was the cheesiest way to sell that to me I've ever heard.
Everybody gets an opportunity to play. But Donnie's going to be in there every day. Herrera's going to be in there every day. Burleson's going to be in there every day. Contreras is going to be in there every day. Those 4 players will be everyday contributors to your lineup. Masyn Winn also going to be in there every day.
And I think Victor Scott's kind of there, so...
Who?
Victor Scott, I'd say.
They've apparently kind of softened on that stance. It sounds like maybe Newt's going to get some opportunities in center field. And then you got
still there?
You also have your catcher. One of Pozo or Bice will be in there every day.
No
so that's
Herrera?
6. So you've got 3 spots to work with on a day-to-day basis. I wonder if this is part of why Nolan Arenado is on the injured list right now.
No, he's hurt.
Third base, second base, and DH/corner outfields. Those are your 3 spots, really, that you can play with on a day-to-day basis. So yesterday, Ollie Marmol was asked because there was no Jordan Walker in the lineup yesterday. You may have noticed that. I think a lot of people noticed it. He was asked about what they're going to do to make this work. Katie Wu reported the following quote from their conversation. Quote, "People are going to every day ask why one player is not in the lineup, regardless of how I decide to do it. Burleson has earned the right to be in there every day, and he's going to be in there. The other guys will have to find a way to rotate." He then said the following. This is from Derek Gould. "Of the younger players, Burleson and Herrera, who is back at DH on Monday, appear to be in ink with their positions to be determined by others that are cycling through playing time. Newt may see time in center to allow for him to be in the lineup regularly. Walker in the same lineup as Burleson with Newt is possible. Third base is in play as Nolan Arenado is on the injured list recovering, and that allows for Sajacy and Gorman to find their at-bats when not available elsewhere. Katie then has this in her piece earlier today. The playing time rotation will not be perfect. Walker and Nootbaar should see 4 to 5 starts per week. Gorman has the potential to start close to every day, but only if his defense at third base improves. Herrera will be in the lineup every day, but he'll go between DH and left field. Burleson can play left, right, or DH when Herrera does not. Okay. So everybody agrees on the following.
Man, this is a tough
This is
puzzle.
going to be complicated.
Yeah.
So, Alex, when you saw the lineup yesterday and realized, all right, Walker's not in there, what was your reaction, and how do you think they should be playing this the rest of the way with the playing time?
I mean, my reaction wasn't happy. Like, Jordan Walker has been one of your best hitters since he's returned from his injury stint, and I don't understand not having him in. How do you make it work? To me, Lars Nootbaar shouldn't be in this conversation with those other players. To me, Jordan Walker should be in the same light as a Masyn Winn, as a Ivan Herrera, meaning everyday opportunities in the field. Like, there's no trying to schedule days off for Jordan Walker, because if Nolan Gorman is most likely getting everyday starts at third base, barring his defense, then Jordan Walker should be getting starts every single day.
I think the part with Gorman is there are fewer options, right? It's only him or Sajacy.
Right.
Whereas in the outfield / DH, which are the only spots that Walker is capable of playing, there are like 7 options.
Sure.
So if Gorman was an outfielder, if you switched the roles, right? If Walker was at third and Gorman was in the outfield, I'm sure the text is going to be, well, Walker was a third baseman. Go ahead and
Is that what you think the text line sounds like?
Yeah, right now.
The gingerbread man from Shrek? I'm a real boy.
Walker is a third baseman.
Not the gumdrop buttons.
If you believe that Walker, or if you switch those roles, right? Walker's a third, Gorman is in the outfield. I think Gorman would be having the same issues of playing every day that Walker's having, and Walker would be the one that's getting the everyday.
But see,
at-bats.
to me, the corner outfield DH is Burleson and Herrera. One's a DH, one's a corner outfielder.
Cool. That's two of the players for the 3 spots that are available.
Jordan
there.
Walker's in right field.
No matter what.
No matter what.
So Nootbaar is not playing for you the rest of the way.
Nootbaar is starting when Scott gets days off.
Okay.
That's the way I would look at this one, because to me, they're still growing with Victor Scott, and it's not like he has to be there every single day.
Sure, he gets 5 starts a week, which means he's off 1.
Sure.
So Newt gets 1 start a week.
And Burleson and Herrera, to me, are pieces moving forward that you kind of see, and you're like, yeah, this makes sense for our team. To me, Lars Nootbaar isn't in that category. Jordan Walker is in that category in terms of an unknown. I mean, right now he's got, 70 games played so far this season? Like, I need more of that. And I think Jordan Walker should be in the same light for how he has performed since he's come back from his injury and where this team was at. Katie even told us yesterday, the 2 guys that still are the biggest ones that need answers on are Gorman and Walker. If Gorman is going to be playing every single day at third base, or most likely getting that, then Jordan Walker should be getting it every single day in right field.
Does it really matter, though, if Walker's getting 4 versus 5 days per week? Like, realistically, does it really change that much for us the rest of the way in terms of what we can evaluate for this team if Walker is playing 4 days a week versus 5?
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think you know if Jordan Walker's an everyday major league player?
No. But I don't think that 1 extra day a week is going to change that for me.
I think
either way, I'm not going to know.
I think playing every single day down the stretch would give me a better idea. It would give me a better idea. Now, I know you're not going to have a perfect answer on this, just like Alec Burleson didn't have a perfect answer last year. But I have a better idea rather than him starting 4 out of every 6 days and not seeing it.
Maybe that's the case. And this is one of those where, we're never going to know either way. I think it's important to get Lars Nootbaar opportunities out there. I really do. And it's twofold. One, because we're not positive that he's going to be elsewhere next year. It is still possible that Lars Nootbaar is a starting outfielder for the Cardinals in 2026. It's still in play. So you can't just completely write the guy off. And 2, I do think it's important to showcase him down the stretch because he has not had a great season this year. And if you think there is still something left in the tank, and I personally do, I do think he's better than his numbers are indicating right now so far this season. I mean, you see the play that he made in the outfield yesterday. He looks healthy. He looks like he's energized. I think he needs to continue getting reps down the stretch. And even if that means 3 days a week for Newt, I think there's value in that, both to the Cardinals and maybe every bit as importantly to the rest of Major League Baseball to see what he looks like over the next 50 games before they potentially sell him off in the offseason. So I think that's part of what you have to do here. They showcased, and it obviously failed miserably, they showcased Eric Fetty right before the trade deadline, failed spectacularly, did not work out for them, and ultimately they had to trade him for a bag of balls. I think that Nootbaar has a higher upside there, and there is a much greater likelihood that Newt ends up returning something on this investment, which is playing time when they get to the end of the season.
Yeah, I would rather still go with the side of Alex and go with Walker, just more regular. And it's not even a thing that I would say is like locked in place for the final 2 months. I think results are the thing that dictate it. And I think right now, Lars Nootbaar is a guy that has been Wally Pipp because Jordan Walker figured it out. And the first time that we've seen Walker really show any signs of life since his rookie season in 2023. I mean, his month of July, 304, 373, 435 was the slash line. That's an 807 OPS.
I do agree. The timing sucks, man.
That's just not a guy that I want to even pull out, whether it is just one game a week. But if you add that up, if this did last for the final 2 months of the season, that's an extra, 32 plate appearances? That's an extra potentially 40 plate appearances that I can add to what is the sample size for Jordan Walker.
Correct.
That does matter. That does matter to me, to where I would prefer more. So that's why I would say right now, if you told me who do I lock in place as guys that get playing time, I agree with what Alex said. I think it's Herrera and Burley are your left field / DH combo. It's Masyn Winn at shortstop. It's probably Brendan Donovan at second base. And then I think it's Jordan Walker in right field.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just we're benching Newt. That's what this decision does.
I think what you do with Nootbaar is I think
Victor Scott.
Yeah, I think it's Scott and Newt are the ones that are kind of doing the rotating dance instead of Newt and Walker.
Right, but realistically speaking, you're probably more or less benching Nootbaar. 4 days a week, Nootbaar's going to be on your bench. He's going to be a fourth outfielder for you. And that's a fair take. I think that is a reasonable place to be. It's why I said going into the deadline, I would have traded Nootbaar. I thought the two guys that I would have traded at this year's deadline that they chose to hold on to were Nootbaar and JoJo Romero. Now, you probably don't win that game yesterday if you don't have JoJo Romero. That's worth noting.
Really?
And you probably don't win that game if you don't have Nootbaar making that play in right field. It's sure, okay. I said in the open, none of these games really matter. It's it is what it is. I would have alleviated that logjam, if possible, by trading Lars Nootbaar. This is a problem of the front office's creation. And now it is a problem that Ollie Marmol is going to have to answer for every single day down the stretch. Because no matter who he plays, somebody's going to be mad. Because maybe you're the person that wants to see Lars Nootbaar traded in the offseason, and you're saying to yourself, the Cardinals are ruining his value. Or you want to see Jordan Walker, as both of you do every day, and now they're not giving him the maximum number of opportunities. You want to see Nolan Gorman every day at third base. They're playing Thomas Sajaci today, so you're mad at them for that. All of this goes back to they had a potential option of trading somebody from this mix at the deadline, and they opted against it. That's on the front office. And ultimately, the manager has to answer for it.
I know we got to get to JR, but can I just say this too? I don't. It's obvious his value isn't through the roof right now because they didn't get any offers that they were blown away by, according to John Mozeliak. Do we really think that 2 months of Lars Nootbaar is going to skyrocket his trade value?
No, but I think that 2 months of him not playing could plummet his trade value.
I think teams know what Lars Nootbaar is. He's had over 1,700 at-bats. I think people have seen Lars Nootbaar.
I think that he becomes somebody that teams will say, well, you're going to have to just hand him to me. Why would I give you maximum assets when I know you already showed your hand with your actions? You don't like this player as much as the other options available. And I think that's part of this. I do think that plays into it. If you are on a fantasy team, Alex, just kind of use this as an example. If you're running a fantasy team and every week you're running the same three receivers out, and you've got this other guy that's a pretty good receiver that you are holding hostage, so you're not going to trade him to me, but he's your fourth receiver. He's never getting into your lineup.
I could think of a couple jerks in our fantasy league that do that.
At a certain point in time, dude, why? You're clearly not valuing this guy. You're never putting him into your starting lineup. Explain to me why you're using him the way that you are. I'm not going to offer you what you're asking for because you're not playing him anyways. That would be Lars Nootbaar's spot. It's a weird comparison, I understand. But
I get it. It's very frustrated last year fantasy league.
I just think the Cardinals are a fish in a barrel with Nootbaar's value no matter what. So.
He's T-Bone. That's Alex. I'm BK. Coming up next, Jeremy Ruther joins us in studio here on BK and Ferrario.
Tanner Hendrickson here with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londahl Chevrolet and Johnny Londahl Autoplex. Cardinals took down the Dodgers last night 3-2. Game 2 of their 3-game set in L.A. is tonight. 9:10 will be first pitch. Miles Michaelis will be on the mound for St. Louis. And coming up next here on BK and Ferrario, our Blues insider Jeremy Ruther joins us in studio. The Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londahl Chevrolet and Johnny Londahl Autoplex. See Londahl.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Ferrario and Tanner Hendrickson. I'm Brandon Kiley. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. We are happy to be joined in studio by the one and only Jeremy Ruther, Blues insider for The Athletic. And there was a piece that dropped earlier today. I texted it to Alex and T-Bone and said, guys, I think we need to have JR in today.
Hallelujah. You gave us something, JR, that's not Cardinals related.
There's Blues content. We got to talk about it, ladies and gentlemen.
I knew I shouldn't have written anything.
No, you needed to. In fact, I need more every day from now until about 2 weeks from now when college football season kicks off.
I'm like, dang it, BK's going to text now that story's
That's
published.
right. That's right. We gave you a couple of weeks off. I'm sure he was waiting.
Wait until Wednesday.
Yep. Put your phone on silence, JR.
All right, JR, your new piece out there. Where do the new Blues, Pius Suter and Nick Bjugstad, fit into this lineup? We asked Jim Montgomery. What did you find out?
First of all, can we work? I need to work on, not you guys, on the pronunciation. I was calling
easy.
them Pius for years. It's easy.
No,
what is it?
It's easy. It's like a ray gun. So every time he scores a goal this season, everybody will just go, Pius, Pius,
Oh, my goodness.
Got it.
Well, I got to
He's
tell you
not gonna
this.
like
I called him. He called me back, and we did it on FaceTime audio. He was in Switzerland, and I said, I've been working on the pronunciation of your name, and I said, can I try it here? He goes, yeah, sure. That's a lot of pressure, right?
Yeah,
You're on the phone with the
you
guy.
brought it upon yourself.
I brought it. Yeah. I said, so Pius? He goes, that's kind of right. But then the way he says, it's like, isn't that what I said? So hopefully we're kind of close. But it's definitely not Pius, you guys. And
yeah, it's not Pius.
then when I got Nick on the phone, too, a little bit later, Bjugstad, he said, can you help me with it? I don't know it. So here's two guys who are going to be teammates, and he's asking for help with
think
the
of the names
pronunciation.
of Doug Armstrong signed. Pius Suter and Nick Bjugstad. Like, come on, Doug.
Yeah, making it easy on everybody.
Logan Mayu.
Last week
oh
it
my
was
God.
Holloway and Broberg. So,
So it's easy
now it's
there.
our turns.
But we'll get those names down. But where do they fit? We did ask Jim Montgomery, and I thought it was a little interesting what he said, and perhaps you guys did too. Like, we think that Suter could be a third-line center for you. You think that Bjugstad could be a third-line right winger or a fourth-line center, depending on what you want to do there. And Jim Montgomery said, or you could see Suter as a second-line center. And obviously, he's played up the lineup in his career, different spots, Chicago, Vancouver. But I guess it all depends on how things work out with Braden Shen. That line had a lot of chemistry last year with Holloway and Kyrou, and they missed it when Holloway was out. And so you get those three back together. If they can pick up where they left off, then maybe you keep it together and Suter's on your third line. But just thought it was interesting that Montgomery brought that up.
I find Suter to be so interesting because it's a guy that everything we heard in the offseason was like, well, he's slow. He doesn't have any elite playmaking skills, but he makes everybody around him better. And even Jim Montgomery said that, like, he makes his line mates better. And then listening to or reading his quotes, it sounds like a dude that is seriously confident in his own game, talking about how he raised his shot level speed to where he feels like he can score goals a little bit better. He's always in the right spot. Like, it seems like they got a guy who really can elevate his game to the next level.
Yeah, and the one thing, guys, I learned, you always learn things through interviews that help you in future interviews. And one thing I learned with this Suter interview was, Jeremy, next time you look at a guy's offensive totals and see that he only scored 14 or 15 goals, for a stretch of seasons, look at how many games he played, because there were a couple there where it was 59, so on and so forth. So when I said, hey, it seems like you've scored 14, 15 every year, and last year 25, and he goes, well, I like to think that I didn't play the full slate of 82 games those years. So
Pius has put you in your
he
place.
just put me in a spot. So
there you go.
So at any rate, he did talk about that, Alex, and he said that he worked on his shot. Not this summer, but the summer before. He felt like he was getting a lot of offensive opportunities in the middle slot and was not converting on those chances. He worked from that area of the ice, and he said he converted a lot more of those into goals, and that's what he thinks got him up to 25. So he believes he's a 20-goal scorer, and if you add a few more onto that, you're chasing 25.
Do you think it matters at all if he's the second versus the third line center, like where he versus Shin fit into this lineup? Is that a big deal either way?
I don't think it's a huge deal. I think that if you can continue to get production out of Braden Shin and he can continue to make that second line dynamic, then it just gives you that much more depth, because then you're not using, Suter as that second line center. And then if you push Braden Shin down, is he on the wing? Is he your third line center? I mean, that's still quality depth. Don't get me wrong. But I think that if Shin can produce with Holloway and Kyrou, then I think that can be a pretty good third line with Suter in the middle of it, especially if you decide to put Bukestad on the right side with Suter. He's looking for more offense this year after having 8 goals last year. And guys, I didn't know it until I talked to him, hence the reason for the interview, that he had back surgery prior to the start of last season, and he didn't feel like himself the entire year.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. So to answer your question, if Shen can produce with that line, I think that's the best case scenario, because if you put Suter Bukestad on that third line, I think that's a better third line than we saw last year.
Because if you use Bukestad as a right winger for that third line with whoever's at the center position, and then you got Neighbors you're assuming is in that spot, I mean, that's a big third line that you're going with, but it leaves the hole on the fourth line that I guess you're asking the question, then what happens there? Because that was such a critical line. Yeah, I guess Oscar Sundqvist is that fourth line center for you.
Sundqvist, and then also something, I don't think it is in the story, but when I talked to Montgomery, he was talking about all the left and right shot centers that they have, and he said guys who can take draws too, and he mentioned Walker a couple times. So, do they look at Walker
seen that before
as that fourth line center?
Interesting. What does this mean for the competition on that third line wing spot? It feels like that's the place where they have the most numbers right now.
Yeah.
Potentially, at least.
Yeah, and you look at Joseph, you look at Texier, those guys seem to be the odd guys out right now. I mean, I know fans have been wondering, would they get waived? Would they get traded? Would they get bought out? Obviously, the Blues have hung on to him. You do need some depth in those areas. You are likely to have some injuries. So, yeah, I think it's just going to create a competition. But, getting Holloway back, I know he was only gone for the last stretch and then into the playoffs, but if that pushes Jake Neighbors down to the third line, it's just great. It's just, you have to have 3 lines that are producing. And we just talked about the center spot. I'll talk about it again. Like when you add up the offensive numbers for Shen and Sundqvist as your second and third line centers, it's not there. And, they need to get more out of those center position. And if you put some capable wingers around them, guys who can put up points, Joseph didn't do that, Texier didn't do that. If you're talking Jake Neighbors and now a Bukestad who's healthier and scoring 15, 20 goals, now you've got the potential for those 3 lines.
I know it was over the phone, but we all know Jim Montgomery is a super excited, positive guy, but just the tone from having conversations with him, did it sound a little bit different with Jim Montgomery, with a different group going into a full training camp than last year?
Yeah, I think so. And first of all, I refreshed Jim Montgomery. The first time I reached out to him a week or 2 ago, he said, headed to an island. I'm headed to an island. Take me with you. So he came back and he said, great time. So he's raring and ready to get going. We talked a lot about Suter and Bukestad, so we didn't get too much into the entire team, but definitely he's looking forward to having the whole group together. And just the flexibility, I guess, is one thing we didn't touch on.
Yep.
I thought that was interesting when he said, yes, you're going to go into a practice with lines. Yes, you're going to go into a game with set lines. He said, but Jeremy, what this does is this allows us to change in game. This guy's playing better. This guy's having an off night. I'm going to move Bukestad up here. I'm going to move Suter over here. And he said the fact that you can move these guys from center to wing, both of them, and also, these aren't 25-year-old guys. These are 29 and 33-year-old guys. Mm-hmm. He said these are the types of players who come in and right away you're confident that they're going to play on the right side of the puck and make the small plays late in games to help close out wins.
Feels like that's maybe the biggest thing that's changed about their forward group going into this season, JR. I feel like I've got a pretty good handle on, I would say, 11 of the 12. What they're going to be heading into 2025. Yeah. My one real question mark is Snuggerud, and that's not a bad thing. It's just he's a young guy. I haven't seen it a whole lot outside of basically the playoff run, but almost every other player has a real track record at this point of what they have been at the NHL level.
Yeah, I think so, and I totally understand and agree with your point about Snuggerud, but I think you probably want 1 or 2 of those players that you just don't know. And listen, it looks like they're going to put Snuggerud up on that top line, Thomas and Buchnevich, and he showed last year that he could handle it. It's a small sample size. Every player I've seen get put into that spot, they didn't just skate their way to a Hall of Fame career the next couple of years where there were no hiccups. So, hey, there are going to be times, listening to us Blues fans, where they take him off the top line for a game or two. He might play on the third line.
I heard Hall & Oates with him and Robert Thomas. Somebody made that comp.
But, it's going to be continuing to be a learning process for Jimmy Snuggerud, but you like the physical attributes. We saw some of the things he could do, not just the shot, but the vision. How many times, Alex, we talk after games about, a pass that he set up, and how did he see that?
Mm-hmm.
So he's got some vision too, and, I think they really, really want to pencil him into a top 6 spot and see if they can get that shot going.
I don't know if you guys can tell this or not. JR's super excited. Hockey season's almost here.
6 weeks.
Super
How many
excited.
days? I'm caught up in the jersey. Which jersey are they going to put out?
No,
That's a Mike Ryder question.
Yeah.
65. He's already used the Jake Neighbors one, probably. Oh, no, Jake
getting it
Neighbors is
ready.
coming up.
Yeah.
2 days away.
We're 65 days away from hockey season. Is that from, he'll tell me this in my ear, is that from the start of preseason or from
Preseason.
opening night? That's
it's
from
the
opening
regular
night.
Oh,
So
yeah. Come on, Ryder.
we're like 50-ish probably days away from, we're banner days away from the start of the preseason.
Because there's 7 preseason games.
And shout out to big Blue sponsor, Jim Olive, a friend. He's texting me saying he can't wait for the season to get started. He said, you finally wrote a story in The Athletic.
Hey, trust me, man. We are now a week removed from the trade deadline.
We've been begging
we were ready
for it.
for a little JR content here on the show.
We were begging for it.
JR, appreciate the time as always, man. We'll talk with you again next week.
Yep, thanks, boys.
He's Jeremy Rutherford. You can find his work, including the latest piece on Puce Suter and Nick Bukestad over on The Athletic, and follow him on Twitter at JP Rutherford. Coming up next, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers here on BK and Ferrario.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Why should you hire America's largest injury law firm for your case? There's lots.
baby. It's BK and Ferrario's questions and answers on 101 ESPN.
399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and get them in right now on the Air Comfort Service text line or on YouTube, as always, at youtube.com/101ESPN-STL. It's great to have Jeremy Ruther in studio with us for about 10 minutes here on BK and Ferrario. Alex, hockey season is right around the corner. I'm curious, genuinely, do you get excited at this time of the year? Do you think to yourself, oh my God, my life is about to come to a screeching halt. I have 100 kids at home. I have a wife that works like opposite hours of me. This is going to be horrible. Where are you at right now as you're thinking about what lies ahead for you?
I mean, I'm a hockey fan at heart. So like this time of the year, I start to get excited because it's been too long in between. I think probably once you get a week away from training camp is when reality hits, where it's like, okay, we got to adjust our schedule, look at it. What do we need to do? How are we going to handle this? So like once the season starts, that's when reality kicks into where it's like, okay, we have to adjust. How are we going to do this? Am I going to miss the girls? But like right now, I do get excited about it. And I get excited once the season begins. Then once it gets underway is when life starts to shift a little bit with the scheduling.
If you guys missed any of the conversation with our guy JR, you can check it out on the podcast page after the show today, 101ESPN.com and the free 101 ESPN app. All right, let's get to your questions from the 314. Guys, do you think that Miles Michaelis will pitch at least 5 innings in tonight's game? Sure.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, he's been
throwing like 95 lately.
I was going to say, he found an extra gear.
And he's probably trying to perform for the Dodgers. Maybe they'll sign him next year.
I mean, the truth of the matter is, he has almost exclusively gone 5+ innings this year. Michaelis has had his blow-ups, don't get me wrong. This is not me telling you he's had a great season. He hasn't. But his bad games are like against Arizona, 4 innings, 5 earned runs. Or earlier in the season, he had a rough one against the New York Mets, 4 2/3 innings, 2 earned runs. They get him out of the game a little early, but yeah, he's not been Eric Fetty. This is not that experience where you expect him to go 2. So yeah, I'll say 5 innings tonight.
Yeah, I don't feel good about that.
Yeah, I don't feel good about it because I never know with Miles Michaelis, but he's pitched well these last couple of outings, so sure.
He has been talking trash about what do you call them? The money-spending Dodgers?
Oh, yeah.
Checkbook baseball.
Checkbook baseball.
Yeah, he hasn't been talking trash, so he might pitch well today.
That always lies in the weeds no matter when you said it.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. Guys, how would you feel about drafting Matt Stafford with his injury questions that loom for this season in fantasy football? I don't think Stafford is necessarily a guy that I would be targeting just because, the upside isn't crazy. He doesn't have the rushing ability that you have with so many quarterbacks around the league right now, and you have the injury questions. So if he's your second quarterback, you're getting him super late, I got no problem with it. But there's a bunch of guys that I would rather draft than Matt Stafford this year.
I don't think the injuries are the problem. I think it's just training camp. He doesn't want to do it. I think he's going to be fine. I'm taking him as last resort of all the good quarterbacks are gone and I need one, and I'll just draft in the last couple of rounds.
Yeah, I agree with what you guys have said. I think if he's your second quarterback, that's a fine option to have because you're right. There's not much ceiling. He's not going to run. Offensively, they should still be pretty good to where he puts up a ton of points, but he's not a guy I would rather target like a Jalen Hurts or Joe Burrow or somebody that can use their legs.
He's being drafted right now on average in the 13th round as the 22nd overall quarterback. That feels more than reasonable to me. In fact, I would probably even take him a little bit above that. Like Tua is going ahead of him. I would take Matt Stafford over Tua this year. Yeah. Beyond that, I think these other guys are pretty much correct. Herbert, Fields, McCarthy, Love, Stroud, May, Lawrence. Those are the guys going ahead of Stafford. You can make an argument for Stafford over some of them, but yeah, I think that seems about right. If you're getting him one of the last picks of your draft, that's totally reasonable. I would take Anthony Richardson over Stafford.
What?
In fantasy.
No.
If he's bad, you just cut him.
I had the Richardson. No.
And if he's good, he'll be a top 10 fantasy quarterback this year.
I'll take Daniel Jones before Anthony Richardson.
I agree.
I wouldn't touch Anthony Richardson with a 10-foot pole.
Anthony Richardson's like one of those waiver pickups that I need a quarterback for 1 week and I'll get him because he's healthy.
And if I'm doing that, I'm in what I think it might be fantasy too late. Rebuild.
I'm in. Can I have my money back? Because I don't want to play anymore.
We're going to get into if Anthony Richardson starts. It's a starting point to all of this. I don't know for sure if he will or not. If Anthony Richardson starts this season, I think he will be a guy that after week 1, you're going to want to pick him up on waivers. So I'd just rather have him before. Dude, Richardson, when he starts, is a really good fantasy quarterback. He's a terrible actual quarterback, but he runs so much.
He was terrible for fantasy purposes.
That YOLO ball,
He was
man.
hurt.
He's hurt
got a
every
shoulder
year.
issue now.
314-399-9646.
I'm not gonna let you convince me of this like you did last year.
He loses every year, man.
Is the Air
I
Comfort
know.
Service text line
He's the whole reason I took Richardson last year.
for questions and answers.
Don't listen to him, man.
Which non-Big Ten or SEC team do you think has the best chance to win the college football playoff this year? Some options for you guys: Clemson, Notre Dame, Miami, Arizona State, etc. Which non-Big Ten, Big Ten or SEC team do you think has the best
Country
chance?
BK's back.
Big Ten?
Big Ten.
I don't know if I trust Cade Klubnik. Clemson would be one of the teams that would be up there on this list. I definitely don't trust Miami's quarterback. We saw that at Georgia. Never trusted him there. Don't trust him at Miami.
Notre Dame was kind of there down the stretch.
That's the thing. I think Notre Dame's my only answer on this. If it's not a Big Ten or SEC, Big Dan or SEC
Big
team,
Ten.
I think Notre Dame is the one.
But who's Notre Dame's quarterback? Because they lost Leonard, right? Didn't he graduate?
I think they got a transfer in.
My honest answer is I wouldn't pick a team from anybody outside the Big Ten
Yeah, I was
or
going
the
to say,
SEC.
what was there, 11 in the top
'Cause
27 SEC?
I do like. I feel like Clemson. I can't think of who they remind me of, but they're the team that constantly gets overhyped. They're in the top 10, and then you watch Cade Klubnik and you go, "Oh, yeah, okay, they're not that good a football team. They win like 9 games and sneak into the playoffs."
CJ Carr is their
that Derek
starting
Carr's brother?
quarterback. He is a red shirt freshman, 6'3", 200 pounds. That's the extent to my knowledge. So
I'm gonna go Clemson by default.
I trust their running game. I trust their defense. This has never been a team that's been like quarterback centric anyways in the Freeman era. So again, I think that I would be with you guys. I wouldn't choose somebody outside of the Big Ten and the
Big
SEC.
Ten?
But if I'm going to, Notre Dame would probably be my answer on that. All right, he's Alex, that's Tebow, and I'm BK. How would you feel about this version of Masyn Winn long term? We'll talk about that next year on BK and Ferrario. VK, yesterday was a really good game for Masyn Winn, and he's been excellent, Alex, ever since the All-Star break. Since then, he's batting .350 for the Cardinals. He's hitting for some power as well. I think it's 5 doubles and a homer last night for Masyn Winn. So you're starting to see, all right, this is what the upside is that they've been talking about. Overall, start to finish of the season thus far, he is almost exactly what he was last year. The batting average was .267 last year. It's .270 right now. On-base percentage was .315 last year. It's .325 right now. Slugging has gone down a bit, but not anything of like real concern. It was .415 last year, .395 right now. He was dealing with some of those nagging injuries. It's possible that kind of bumps up over the second half of the season as well. I guess my question to you would be this, Alex, because he's one of the first Cardinals hitters, Cardinals prospects, that put together a first season that looked almost exactly the same as their second season. Most of these guys see a significant decline over the course of their second year. What if this is just who Masyn Winn is? How do you feel about a .270 hitter that gets on base 32% of the time and hits, 15 home runs per year while playing some of the best defense of any player in Major League Baseball, and he's doing so at arguably the most important defensive position on the field? How do you feel about that player that the Cardinals could build around?
I feel great about it. That's a guy that you can bank on every single season, because what you said, that's worst. That's at worst, Masyn Winn. This is kind of the threshold of what you're going to get, the back of the baseball card. This is how it's going to end. But there's still upside because he's 23 years old. So that's the part that if I'm a Cardinals front office executive, I'm looking at this saying, okay, this was the year that typically for our guys, or typically in baseball, you see a step backwards because the league adjusts to them. It's the second full year, and you have to kind of decipher who the player is. But, man, if you're going to end the season exactly what you were last year, or maybe a tick better than that, then as an executive, I'm looking at this saying, okay, now we've got the foundation of what Masyn Winn is. We know he can hit. We know he can get on base. Maybe not the power that we thought, but there's room for growth, and the defense is going to be excellent all season, and he's going to give you an ample amount of games throughout the year. Man, that for me, that's a building block, because now I know what the baseline is, and I hope that improvement takes place, because typically these guys hit their prime about 25, 26, 27 years old, which means you're 3 or 4 years away from that with Masyn Winn. So that, to me, tells me, cool, I've got a building block.
Yeah, I think he's a guy for me that I think I would lean towards the side of bet on, because he hasn't had that year 2 struggle where everything just falls off a cliff. Now, he hasn't had the year 2 improvement like I thought maybe you could expect going into this year. But the reason I say I would bet on is because he hasn't just fallen off of a cliff. He's been able to kind of stay stabilized right now. And that's a guy that I'm willing to say to what Alex has just said there is I'm going to bank on, hopefully, like as he gets older, maybe he grows into a little bit more power, or he's shown he's got decent bat-to-ball skills. Maybe he hits for a little bit more average and bumps up the on-base more. Maybe he doesn't add to the slug, but he adds to the batting average. But most importantly, he plays Gold Glove level defense. And if this is like the worst-case scenario of, hey, he's going to be like a league average guy for the control on his contract for the next 4 years, I'd sign up for that. You get a Gold Glove caliber shortstop that's league average offensively that you can hit anywhere between like 6 and 9 in your lineup when things are going right. Yeah, that's a guy that can play on a championship caliber team. So when you finally do get back to your next winning window, you can have this guy on the team and have him in the right role, and he would fit perfectly for the Cardinals.
That's kind of where I'm at. Like, this is a player, and I feel this way about a few different guys right now. I think Ivan Herrera is going to be around for the next 3 years. Is he a pillar of a championship level organization? I have no idea. But I do think he is somebody that you can win with. I think he is the type of bat that if he's in the top 5 of your order, you feel pretty good about it, regardless of what your aspirations are in any given season. I think Masyn Winn is a player that I can win with, and for, no pun intended. And for the next 3 to 5 seasons, I expect him to be a part of this thing, so long as the Cardinals don't make a dramatic move this offseason to trade him for something of real significance in your rotation and go with J.J. Weatherholt at the shortstop position. But I think he should be a part of it. I think Brendan Donovan has that potential, depending on how far away the Cardinals believe they are, because if they think they're 3 to 5 years away, all right, now you trade him. But if you think you're within the next couple of years going to be a contender again, Donovan is probably here for the foreseeable future. I think Alec Burleson is one of those guys that I would fit into this mix. I think Victor Scott is one of those players. I think they value what he does for them defensively to the point where he should be a part of this. Dude, for all of the frustration about this season, and there's plenty, and it's mostly deserved, that's 5 pieces in your lineup that you think could be a part of this thing, not just for right now, but, the next 3 to 5 years. Things change. Who knows how long beyond that, but for the next 3 to 5 years should be a part of this thing. It's pretty good. That's a nice core. The problem with where the Cardinals are at right now is that you're missing, the
one thing that they can't get.
Guys, you're missing your Kyle Tucker, your Michael Bush, your Shohei Ohtani, your Freddie Freeman, your Bryce Harper, your Kyle Schwarber. Go sign him. He's a free agent this offseason. He's going to get all of the money. Just go do that.
Don't do that.
But why not?
And he's a DH. We already have those positions filled.
That's true. Throw him in the outfield. They do that with everybody. You're missing the big boppers in the middle of the order that impose fear in an opposing pitcher. But Masyn Winn's a guy that should absolutely be here. I just looked this up. His most similar comparisons on Baseball Reference. You ready for the 3 of the batters that are similar to him?
Francisco Lindor.
No, it's not, but I do like the Dansby Swanson comparison.
Or Chip said that last night. That's why it came to mind.
It makes a lot of sense. We've mentioned that before. He's very similar. Zach Neto.
He's pretty good.
No, he's a really good player. He's an all-star this year for the Angels, 24 years old. He's a really good player.
You don't watch the Angels,
but you can't use the all-star for the Angels as the tagline with it.
He's a legitimate. He had 23 home runs last year, 34 doubles, is a 15% above league average shortstop that plays plus defense. He's been worth 5 wins each of the last 2 years. If he becomes Zach Neto, I'm thrilled. That's
Neto.
C.J. Abrams is another one that is comparable to Masyn Winn thus far. Neto was better earlier in his career than Abrams, but I'll set that aside for a moment. Ahmed Rosario is another one. I think he's a better version of what Rosario has been for his career, but man, it's a pretty good group. C.J. Abrams, Zach Neto, Dansby Swanson. I think that's kind of the level that Masyn Winn fits into right now among the shortstops.
Yeah. Is this fair? 3rd tier shortstop across Major League Baseball? That's what I would probably call Swanson. He's not up there in the
Bobby
superstar
Witt's category.
Which is Bobby Witt. I don't think he's like star like
Ellie De La Cruz. I don't think he's in that range either.
Yeah, I'd almost call him almost the 3rd tier. He's not a superstar. He's not a star, but he's just a really good shortstop that
When was the last time the Cardinals had that?
A year of Johnny Peralta,
right?
I think
a year of Tyler O'Neill.
I was playing shortstop.
The shortstop.
A really good fit him into
Paul DeYoung the first couple of years.
I don't know that he fit into that criteria for me. I would have had him a tier below.
I think people at Paul DeYoung,
I think year 1 he probably
the first year and then that second year, I thought he was pretty decent too, to where he was an all-star. And
I
then
always
after
thought
that,
his defense was highly overrated.
Well, but his offense was better than Masyn Winn, so that's they kind of cancel each other out.
Just for half of a season.
But he hit the ball
had the
far,
power.
which I like.
He had the power.
You've just always been a Paul DeYoung.
You just hate Paul DeYoung. It's fine.
Paul DeYoung was fine.
1 year of Aledmus Diaz was really good.
That's true. I would go Diaz over DeYoung.
He was not very good defensively.
Paul DeYoung, the first couple of years, it felt like looked at it as, hey, they found their core piece.
That second season for Paul DeYoung, he was the hitter that Masyn Winn has been this year. And he had none of the defense that Masyn Winn brings to the table.
Yeah, but that first year was something to dream on.
That first year was great. That's what we have seen that is different about Masyn Winn this year, is you've seen it stabilize. What we saw in year 1, that second year is where you really are able to determine, all right, was that real, or did baseball just not have the ability to adjust to it right away? Dylan Carlson, we saw this with him. We saw it with Nolan Gorman. We saw it with Jordan Walker. We've seen this where guys come in year 1 are really good players. And then year 2, there's a rubber band effect. And that happened for Paul DeYoung. We're halfway through that second season. He was not the same guy.
See, the problem with all of this is, and this goes back to the area where people got mad at us for being so frustrated and envious, this is all fine and dandy, or neato, as I said. But none of this, you can have all of these pieces and it's fun to look at, but until the team is aggressive to add to it to make those pieces matter, then you're just stuck. And that's the part that's infuriating. You finally got this. You finally got this. And you know what the Cubs did when they finally got it? They went out there and they got Kyle Tucker.
What we haven't talked, though, about the pitching. And I think that's the part where it's really difficult for the Cardinals is not difficult for the Cardinals. That's the part where I do understand to a degree them taking a step back is, how do we fix that? And I, honest to God, do not know the answer.
It's a multiple-year fix. Yeah. You got to wait for these guys to develop. You got to wait for Liam Doyle to get there, Quinn Matthews to get there, and now with Roby's injury.
So that becomes the follow-up question is, does it make sense to get aggressive on the position player side of things while you're waiting for those answers on the pitching side.
Well, I mean, it does in the sense of you should use the other pieces that you have that are in bulk to try and trade for a pitcher that you can put into that spot.
But I'm with you. I agree.
Like, that's aggressive, and that's...
My starting point is I agree with you. Where I would then continue is, okay, who are we likely to trade among this group of position players? Realistically. Nootbaar, right?
Nootbaar,
He's
Gorman.
probably the one. What are you realistically getting for those guys? I think they have value. I don't think you're getting a Joe Ryan for them. I don't think you're getting an established front two, like top two of the rotation starter. You're either flipping them for prospects, which there's no guarantee they ever becoming in anything of meaning for your major league rotation, or you're probably flipping them for guys that are kind of similar to what you have already. With Michael McGreevy, Andre Palante, you're hoping that there's something more that has been untapped thus far. I don't think you're, realistically speaking, going to get a pitcher that changes anything.
Well, but maybe those pitchers are the ones that you're waiting on to develop. Those are the Liam Doyles, but
Hopefully Quinn Matthews.
Can't you identify your Quinn Priester? Can't you go out there and find a effective...
I think we overstate a little bit what Priester is. Yes, you could go find your Quinn Priester. That's like a 3 or a 4.
Sure, but
he's like the 4th best starter in the
But that's
Brewers
better
right
than
now.
3 other things that you have right now, and at least makes you a little bit more competitive, doesn't it?
For sure.
And that's realistic.
But you're still now years away from getting that 1 or 2.
Sure, but to offset that, you could take the identity of offense with an effective pitching staff. And that's where you've got this offense. It's gone stale because you don't have that middle of the order bat. And if you could find 1 or 2 Quinn Priesters with these trade chips, at least make your rotation effective and stable throughout the season while the 1s and 2s develop. But your offense has a main guy in the middle of the order with all of the effective pieces around it.
So I think another piece of this.
Stop throwing ripples into this.
Because I agree, generally speaking, with what you're saying. It's the route that I would prefer to go. It's the Padres model. It's the Cubs model. Like, you push, and then you hope that as you go along, like, we keep adding it's like you're driving down the road, and you're, like, picking up your buddies to go to the bar on the way, right? Like, you're hoping that everybody keeks getting in, and we're just going to have this great time together. But the Cardinals are more like, no, we're going to go to the bar. We'll all meet there. Hopefully it all works out great.
Because I never leave, and I don't meet you there.
Yeah. So the tough part with what you're saying, Alex, like, you're trading these pieces for the pitching. Now, how are you getting that position player?
Money.
So you're going to go out and you're going to sign Kyle Tucker because he's the only one available.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody else out. Kyle Schwarber, I suppose you could fit into this criteria. I don't think he's leaving Philly, frankly, and I don't know if does he fit into the criteria that we're talking about?
No.
Not for this team.
No, because you need an everyday corner outfielder.
Because he's like I know he's having an MVP.
So it's Kyle Tucker or bust. They're not getting
there.
Kyle Tucker. Now what? And that, like, they need both. They need the front of the rotation and the middle of the order. I don't think you can accomplish both of those things simultaneously with trades. So that means that one of those has to be fixed either internally or via free agency. I don't have the belief that they're going to get either of them via free agency.
But from those core pieces that we were talking about, can you take one out and put J.J. Weatherholt in?
Maybe.
Does Donovan come out of that now with Weatherholt? And
Donovan might be the kind of thing that can get you somebody like a Joe Ryan.
And that's where you have to give up something that you don't want to.
I think you've got plenty of pieces that might be able to get you whether it's the Joe Ryan or the position player that you want.
And I guess what's more important for the team now?
It's going to be one that, like, stings. Like, it's not just Brendan Donovan. Like, it could mean, like, maybe that team doesn't want Brendan Donovan. They say, we want Ivan Herrera.
Or Masyn Winn.
Or Masyn Winn. Or Alec Burleson. We don't want your trash, no offense, Nootbaar. But if you're falling out of favor like we've talked about.
That's how these trades go, though. Teams, we think they're gold. Teams look at it as trash.
They can trade Nootbaar and Gorman and probably add to their pitching depth, but it won't be what BK saying, which is, it's like a 3 or 4. But again, like, they are so much lacking in their pitching depth that it actually probably wouldn't be a bad thing to try and capture that. But where I would say they probably have their star internally would be the pitching side. And Liam Doyle, I would be willing to bet on him, bet on Roby when he comes back in a year from Tommy John, bet on Quinn Matthews. The position player side, I just don't know who you're betting on.
And
like, Weatherholt maybe, but even him, I kind of look at it and just assume he's a complementary piece.
And that's where I don't know what the free agent class looks like beyond this year. Like, can you wait 2 years to go into that market? But anytime you go into the free agent market...
Well, now you're into the
lockout, and then the season's over, so I guess it doesn't matter.
We'll never play baseball
we should be pausing this conversation until 2028. But, like,
the following season, I'll give you some of the names, Alex, that are out there. It's not a
Yeah.
great class. Pete Alonso.
No.
Cody Bellinger.
Well,
Oh,
at one time.
No.
Alec Boehm.
No.
No.
Randy A.
Hell yeah.
Jazz Chisholm.
No.
Yeah, you're making the trade. And that's where I guess you have to prioritize. Do you want to trade for that top-end pitcher or do you want to trade for that bat? And because you've got depth in your system, I feel like the priority should be going out there and finding that bat, capitalizing on a younger player like a Michael Busch and going out there and saying, we've got this piece, now we let our pitching develop and we hope that we can get to that point in a couple of years, but we've got the bat now.
Anthony Rendon.
We have him already. Only our guy likes to play baseball.
Nick Castellanos.
I like his attitude.
Great complimentary piece. Have those.
Seiya Suzuki. He's
I don't really buy.
years old.
Yeah, I was saying, I don't really even
Can't
buy
you just go
this
get the
offense.
next Seiya Suzuki over in Japan this offseason?
I hope.
Yeah. Isn't there a big left-handed first baseman?
Yeah, dude, he's going to sign with the Dodgers.
We
the
can't
Padres.
get
Come on.
another first baseman, okay?
Dodgers, Padres,
Stop
Yankees, Cubs, Mets.
I thought we were building an
Timo,
unathletic
you did the
team.
two
Or
things.
Mariners.
You did the two things that this team doesn't need: a left-handed bat and a first
Yeah,
baseman.
but he's unathletic. I mean, that would fit.
314-399-9646 is the Your Comfort Service text line. Better to forget it coming up next.
Vegas sets them up, and we're here to make the call. It's BK and Ferrario's Bet It or Forget It on 101 ESPN.
Presented by Circus Sports Illinois. Sports betting the way it should be.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for Bet It or Forget It. You guys give us a scenario. We will tell you if we are betting it or forgetting it here on 101 ESPN. Guys, bet it or forget it. Kyle Schwarber, if the Cardinals signed him, would come in and be exactly what the Cardinals lineup is missing right now. Here's what Kyle Schwarber has done in home runs over the past 4 seasons. 46, 47, 38, and 40. RBIs, 100, 108, 110, and 80 so far this season through 112 games. He has been above average 45%, 30%, 20%, 35%, and 66%.
I'll say bet it. That's a bat right there.
32 will be 33 next year.
You just make Herrera and Burleson your outfielders, or Herrera and Walker, and you trade Burleson. I'll say bet it.
I would say bet it as well. I mean, I still think they need another piece, but they've got 2 holes there. So, yeah, he fills one of them. So, yeah, I would say bet it.
They won't and probably shouldn't do this because he'll be 33 and you're probably not going to be good immediately.
That's the old Cardinals way, signing a 33-year-old player and saying, we're going to squeeze a little more juice.
Astros?
The Dodgers.
No, Padres. Padres are going to look at their lineup and say, need a little more thump.
Especially in left.
And that's why the Padres... And that's why we're envious of the Padres.
Yeah, and the Phillies, because they were the ones that originally took the chance on him, and it could not have paid off anymore. I will bet this. He's exactly what they're lacking. Are they likely to do it? No. But if they did, I would celebrate it. Alex?
Guys, JR's interview got me thinking. Bet it or forget it. A line of Suter, Bukestad, and Neighbors could combine for north of 85 points.
Suter, Bukestad, and Neighbors.
North of 85 points combined.
For all 3 of them combined? Well, yeah, absolutely. 85? Mm-hmm. I would be surprised if Suter and Neighbors don't combine for 85 points. 45 plus apiece? And then I get Bukestad for free? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I would bet it.
Did you do the math wrong?
No, I didn't do the math wrong.
In your head?
Just kind of seeing if you guys thought it was there.
I mean, I would say it's a disaster of a season if Neighbors and Suter don't combine for at least 80 points. Something has gone horribly awry.
That's your third line, so you're not seeing a whole lot of ice time out there.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, Suter just put up, 40-something, 49, and he was the second line center for him?
Yeah, he needs to get 40 points this year.
I agree.
And I would say the same thing is true out of Jake Neighbors. Jake Neighbors, 45 points a year ago. I mean, you mentioned the other day you think he could even bump up from there. Neighbors has got to be at least a 40-point producer for you. Same thing for Suter, and I would say 30-ish is my expectation out of Bukestad.
I think that's
20
my
to
line.
30.
I think that's the line now that I want to see put together after JR's interview. That's the line I want to see work as a third line.
Suter, Neighbors.
That could be a second line on most teams.
Good teams?
I don't know if I go that far.
Fringe teams.
That I'd say, yeah.
It's an overqualified third line. Bukestad, I think, is a 3rd/4th line player at this point in his career. But those other 2, yeah, they could. If Neighbors was on a second line for a good team, that makes sense. If you Suter on a good team, as second line center between 2 really good players, like if he was playing for Toronto or Florida, he had to masquerade for a bit as a second line center. He could do that.
He'd probably
be surrounded by really good players.
He'd probably be the second line with Toronto, so they could get Tavares down a little bit.
Sure.
Guys, bet it or forget it. The Cardinals will acquire a Joe Ryan-esque pitcher this offseason.
Forget it. Yeah, I think we're aiming too high there. Joe Ryan's really good, man. I tried to acquire Joe Ryan 2 years ago, I think it was, and people were like, he's okay. I think what Joe Ryan was 2 years ago is the kind of pitcher that you should be aiming for this offseason. You're hoping to get in on the early portion of what is eventually going to be a very good starter.
Yeah, I'm forgetting this one. If they're going after anything, it would be a bat before it would be a high-end pitcher like that.
I'm going to forget it, but I think this might be the thing they probably need first than the bat. Because look at their offense. Now, granted, it really is struggled
look at their
over the
offense.
last month. But prior to, I believe it was that Pittsburgh series where they got shut out for 3 straight games. Prior to that, they were like a top 10 offense in most statistical categories without a star. So if I suddenly give you competent pitching, they're probably not going anywhere in October because they don't have the star power. But could they get to October if they had a Joe Ryan at the front end of their rotation along with the Sonny Gray? I think they could have. And especially with the bullpen that they had. That's why I think this is, maybe it's not Joe Ryan, maybe he's too high, but it's probably somebody like him they have to go out and acquire. A guy that's got swing and miss, that's got some control, and be willing to part with some of the overload of position players they have.
I think BK's right. I think I'd go for Joe Ryan 2 years ago this offseason. Sure. I'm going for the guy on the front end of this.
Yeah, the guy that you hope becomes this version. All right, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line from the 314. Guys, bet it or forget it, Jimmy Snuggerud will score at least 25 goals this season.
Bet it. Between power play and top line minutes with Thomas, bet it.
I would bet it as well, because I think power play is going to get handful there. 5-on-5, I could see where maybe he has some struggles in his first year, especially as the season goes along, but I think the power play would help him, so bet it.
I'm going to say forget it. I think he's just below that, and that's not me hating. I just don't want to put too much on a young player this early.
Give it time. BK will try and trade him.
The Jake Neighbor season if he had the Jake Neighbor season from a year ago, 22 goals, 24 assists, 46 points overall, I'd be pretty happy with that from Jimmy Snuggerud this year. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. Guys, bet it or forget it, the Cardinals will sign at least 2 veteran starting pitchers on bridge deals for next season. Ooh, interesting. At least 2 starters. So coming back next year, he'll have most likely Sonny Gray, Matthew Liberatore, Michael McGreevy, Andre Palante. I'll say forget it.
Missing one.
Yeah. I'm going to forget this one. Because
I think they sign at least 1.
Yeah, they're not going to go out there and hand out multiple contracts.
I think they'll sign one, and they might trade for a starter at the AAA level.
Yeah, I would say they're going to make 2 rotation moves, but I think I would bet that it's probably just 1 veteran that they signed to like a 1-year deal. Because I think you're right. I think the second guy that they look to acquire will be probably a fringe big leaguer, guy that they'll probably start down in AAA to be as their 6th.
Bet it or forget it, the Cardinals will trade 2 outfielders this offseason. That comes from the 636.
Forget it. I say they trade 1. 1 outfielder, 1 infielder.
There's so many guys I can count as an outfielder. Hold on.
Does the JC count as an outfielder?
Not yet.
No, not yet. Give it time.
I'll say forget it. I agree with Alex. I think the most likely trade candidates this offseason are Lars Nootbaar and Nolan Gorman.
That's where I'm at. And maybe Donovan. Although I don't think the Cardinals are going to
on the
move
return.
Yeah, I think one of the middle infielders, potentially, not named Gorman. But yeah, I would say forget it. I think it's probably just 1. I think it's probably Lars Nootbaar. I think they would hold on to Walker, Burleson, Herrera. Like, those are the other guys. Scott, I think they're going to hang on to Scott. I think they value Scott more than I do. But I would say, yeah, forget it.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line from the 314. Guys, bet it or forget it, Bo Bichette is the player that the Cardinals could sign this offseason to be what you're asking for. Bo Bichette is a free agent this offseason.
Why would the Blue Jays let him go, though?
I think they'll probably re-sign him. I do think it's kind of strange that he hasn't been extended already.
I don't know if that's the guy, too, though. Well, Bo Bichette's pretty impressive.
Bo Bichette's a good player.
Yeah.
Man, I would love to get me some Bo Bichette. I think it is some of what you already have. I think there's some similarities between Bo Bichette and like what you have with Brendan Donovan, for example. They go about it a little differently. Brendan Donovan is more on the on-base side. Bo Bichette, you know what? He's Alec Burleson.
I was actually going to say, do you hope that Weatherholt becomes Bo Bichette?
Weatherholt, Burleson, Herrera, they all kind of profile similarly. Maybe not all to the same degree as Bo Bichette. Bo Bichette's a really good player, again. But all of those guys have similar attributes to what Bichette brings to the table. If you were going to move Masyn Winn and sign Bo Bichette, that is the kind of creative movement that some teams would be willing to do. The Cardinals have not done stuff like that in the past. So I'll say forget it, but I could see how you get yourself there.
Yeah, I'm kind of iffy on that, so I'll say forget it.
If you traded Masyn Winn and Brendan Donovan, and that's how you go out there and get your pitching, you sign Bo Bichette, and you have J.J. Weatherholt as your everyday second baseman.
But is Bo Bichette that middle of the order bat that we're talking about? Like, it feels like he's still a Robin to your Batman.
He could bat second for you. You've got like Weatherholt 1, Bichette 2, Herrera 3, Contreras 4, Burleson 5. It's a pretty good starting point.
I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm still wanting more.
Yeah, you probably are.
And I
You're
feel like
paying for this. I think.
I feel like.
I agree.
Yeah, I feel
But
like.
in this scenario, you also have 2 new starters that slot in 2-3 into your rotation.
Yeah.
I mean, Masyn Winn's the kind of
Don't
piece that can
fancy
get
me
you
with
that.
a
And you're paying a lot of money,
Masyn
too.
Winn could potentially get you a Joe Ryan.
And you're paying a lot of money for Bichette, too.
Oh, yeah.
And
a
that's
boatload of money.
and so now that's your big free agent signing, and I don't know if that's
None
the
of this
guy.
is happening. We're not doing this. But
Well, then I'm going to forget it,
Is this
okay?
because they're not creative? Yeah, I'm
Well,
with you
you're
there.
kind of talking me into it. Then when you went back to reality for a little bit.
I think there's a case to be made with all of this. But
I'm out.
is it likely? Absolutely not.
I'm going to forget it.
Do I think
What
it's
I'm
like the
doing.
best case scenario? No, but I could. Bichette outside of last season has been the same guy every year of his career. It's been 20 to 25% above league average basically every single season. He's a consistent 20-ish home run hitter. He's going to hit for a really high average, and he's going to get on base at a decent clip. It's a good hitter.
If we continue to live in this fake world for a minute.
And he's right-handed, which
if
is something this team
Hallelujah.
If this was Heim's like first off season, is I'm going out and I'm signing Bo Bichette. It's probably a 8-year deal. And then I go out and I trade Winn and I trade Donovan, and up the middle it's what you said, Weatherholt and Bichette. And I use those pieces to go out and acquire a 2 and a 3. So it's Gray, insert start Joe Ryan, say, and then a 3, and then a couple of other cost control arms. Does that sell tickets again? Is that what gets the fan base back, or no?
I don't think so.
They have to win.
I think there'd be some that would come back because it's new, it's different.
It's
whether
new.
you like it, or whether you think it wins or not yet. At least it's something new, and it's like, oh wow, feels like we're trying
Definitely
again.
a different path.
Yeah,
It's
that's
definitely a
Mo
different
would've
path.
done. No
Sorry.
offense, Mo.
I just looked and Bo Bichette was trending on social media. I'm like, wait, what the hell just
Did he just
happened?
resign or something?
No, he didn't. He's hitting the hell out of the baseball.
NY says, BK always does this. Talk about something and then shut it down because it'll never happen.
I know.
Yeah.
I'll give you what I think is, an interesting theory, an interesting angle on something, what could end up working out, and then we'll discuss why it won't happen because that's more likely. And that's where we're at. All right, coming up next, was there a lesson to be learned in the whole Luken Baker experience? We'll talk about it here at BK and Ferrario.
Tanner Hendrickson here with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Cardinals beat the Dodgers last night 3-2, and Game 2 of their three-game set in L.A. is tonight. 9:10 will be first pitch. Miles Michaelis will be on the mound for St. Louis. The Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See Londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Alongside Alex and T1 on BK, Masyn Winn and Lars Nootbaar for Joe Ryan. You doing it?
I'm in. I'm not even thinking about it. In. Press the button.
Yeah, I'm probably doing that. And
What
that's
if I
coming
said
off
that
of
Bo
me saying,
Bichette's not coming in?
I don't care. I'm doing it.
I mean, I'm
got
putting
JJ
Weatherholt in Masyn Winn's spot. So yeah, I'm probably doing
Would
it.
you rather trade Winn or Weatherholt?
Win.
Oh. I think Win. The reason I hesitate is because I have no freaking clue.
Well, yeah,
Weatherholt
Weatherholt's
is.
still an unknown, and I think I could actually do better than Masyn Winn offensively, and then I'm trading Winn possibly
Definitely
at his
doing worse
best.
defensively, though.
Yeah. But I still got Arenado. The left side of the field's great defensively.
I was just curious. I'm trying to see where we're at on all of these different. These are the kinds of things.
I don't know, man. Nobody's freaking untouchable on this team.
I hear you.
Just get creative.
But then you look at the text line when we mention potentially trading one of these guys, and people are like, you absolutely cannot do that.
Well, then you're going to be stuck with this team if you don't make any creative moves.
Hey, I was told we were supposed to celebrate last night's win, so they must love this team.
Yeah, those people checked out after the first segment.
Well, here we are. All right. Were there any lessons in Luken Baker? For those of you that didn't see it yesterday, Luken Baker was apparently placed on waivers. And the Dodgers were like, we'll take him.
Cardinals are still denying that they put him on waivers.
Dodgers made a spot on their 40-man for him. They assigned him to their AAA team. So Luken Baker is now a member of the LA Dodgers organization. The Cardinals also made a move. They have acquired a left-handed pitcher. He's a reliever who now gets down to AAA, and they needed somebody. They needed somebody that throws with their left arm, and he does. So here you go. You're coming from the Marlins. You're going to be a part of the Cardinals now. Was there any lesson, in your guys' opinion, in the Luken Baker 10-year stretch of him being a potential option for the Cardinals from the right side?
I didn't have one because when I saw it, I'm like, okay, Luken Baker's gone. They finally did something about their 40-man roster. But you don't bring this up if you didn't have a lesson from it.
I do. Can we stop with the we're going to develop role players?
Wait, that's what we're going to do with Blaze Jordan.
That's the Cardinal way, man. Cardinal way is draft and develop role players.
They don't use them that way anymore, though.
Well, they used to back in the good old days.
They sure did.
Remember Descalzo and
I do.
John Jay?
Oh, he was our starting center fielder.
Sometimes.
I mean, they tried to
Pete Kozma.
Yeah, I remember all of these. I remember this. I vividly
Schumacher.
remember it. It worked out really well for the Cardinals as an organization. They would bring these guys in. They would, for a year, maybe 2 years, serve as some kind of like a utility role. Tommy Edman was this early on. And eventually they might take over as an everyday player. Or for some of them, they just became bench bats. And then their time here would come to an end as they got a little bit more expensive. They would trade them elsewhere and sayonara. I hope you end up having a great experience wherever you're going next as they got more expensive. I thought that was going to be the case with Luken Baker, but he didn't have the positional flexibility that they wanted and or needed. They didn't have a use for him at the big league level the way that they would have liked. And so he just never really got that chance here in a meaningful way. The same thing seems to have been true with Thomas Saggese before this most recent call-up, where now he is getting real chances to start with regularity, but they didn't want to call him up because he wasn't going to play every day. Man, Thomas Saggese is probably never going to be an everyday player for the Cardinals. That's okay. He can have a role for them, even if it's not every day. But my lesson, and this is from Luken Baker, it's really from this entire 2023 to 2025 experience, is the Cardinals don't do this anymore. They don't develop bench players. They develop guys like Brendan Donovan that play all over the place. They don't develop the bench players anymore. So this offseason and in future years, instead of us talking about young guys that can fill those roles, they need to sign veterans. They need, not Jose Fermin style veterans.
Hey, he's a veteran.
They need to sign guys that can actually tangibly help them whenever they're trying to be good again. Maybe that's not going into next year, but getting into 2027 when they're not going to play baseball, they should have some veterans on their bench that can actually help them in roles that matter.
I guess
that was my lesson.
I guess my question to that is, like, is that just the state of baseball now with the DH, to where you just don't use those role players as much? Because, I mean, like, Pozo was that pinch hit bat for you yesterday, and you know he's good against that type of pitcher, but he's got a role, which is...
That's what I thought the role was going to be.
But, like, I guess if... And maybe it's the Cardinals, to your point, like, unless you're a utility piece, do like teams still have just a sole first baseman who can hit one side of the one arm pitcher? Not one arm pitcher, one side of the arm pitcher.
Some have that, yeah. I mean, the Cardinals don't need it though because they have Wilson Contreras who hits whoever is up on the mound that day.
And they got Burleson who can play first base also.
Exactly. Yeah. So they don't need it necessarily, but there are spots in this lineup that could absolutely use it. You're telling me this team couldn't use a corner outfielder that hits from the right side? Now, they may have that with Ivan Herrera, but like in future seasons, if they were going to go into a year with Burleson and Nootbaar as their corner outfielders, for example, it would be really helpful to be able to use somebody off of the bench that just mashes lefties, because between Burleson, Newt, and Scott, they all have weaknesses against lefties. They're not quite as good against left-handed pitchers as they are against righties. And if you have a dude that comes in, like a Randall Grichuk from a year ago or Tommy Pham from a year ago, and they crush lefties, yes, there is value in having that guy coming off of the bench in a big spot and taking that at-bat over those other players. Cardinals haven't used that a ton in recent seasons, and I think part of that is because they haven't had that player to come off of the bench. Like, sign Tommy Pham, not him specifically, but sign a Tommy Pham in the offseason instead of trying to acquire it at the deadline every bleeping year, and instead of trying to pretend as though you already have it in your system, because you don't and you won't utilize it. So that would be, for me, my biggest lesson that I've learned. It's not just Luken Baker, but he is probably the most symbolic version of this, because for the last how many years they've been saying we need to add a right-handed bat that thumps against lefties, and we keep pointing to it. It's like, but you have it. It's right there. We all see it. He has an 800 OPS against left-handed pitchers at the big league level and in the minors. So just use him, give him a chance to do this, and they never seem to be all that interested.
They panic because they didn't have flexibility.
Correct.
Because, like, they had him, they tried it, but then they needed, I don't remember who he got sent down for the first. I think it was for somebody that could play center field. Barrero. That's who it was for, I'm pretty sure. It's like, oh, so, like, we're going to go from a less right-handed bat that brings thump, and we're going because we need a backup center fielder. Can't I throw Nootbaar out there? Why do we have to have all these defensive pieces that we're not going to play on the bench? That's the other thing for me is I think they overstate how much of the backup defense they need. They plan for the worst case scenario a lot compared to, but like that typically is not going to happen, and we can just throw Nootbaar out there. And if it does happen, then we'll make the move and bring Barrero back up to the big leagues, right?
That is one thing that I think we maybe see differently than Ollie does, is the value of the defense. And I think it goes back to 2023 when they were a disaster. And they saw how horrible their defense was, especially in the outfield. And they were like, never again. Like, this will never happen to us again. And I think they have almost overcompensated at times for some of those defensive issues that they had a couple of years ago. All right, we got this from I Hate Paper Straws over on the text line, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. Sajayce's chest hair bulging out of his jersey is so gross. First of all, hard disagree. Second of all, have you guys noticed...
I don't know if I've noticed that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sajayce has a full beard going now.
I noticed
and he's got the chest hair coming out of the jersey with regularity.
Hey, man.
There's been a real makeover going on with Thomas Sajayce, and I'm here for it. It's been impressive.
If you got the flow, you got the flow. Why would you back
it's well
down
done
from
by
that?
him.
All right, well, I hope he's in the lineup tonight because
he just looks like a different human being than when he was first called
I
up.
apologize,
He's seen some stuff
that I'm not checking out their chest hair during the game.
I'll start
paying attention to that a little bit more, I guess.
Yeah, figure this out.
I mean, I look at a guy's beard and say, that's a good-looking beard. I've noticed that on Sajayce. I haven't gone to the chest hair. But hard disagree on the chest hair being gross. If you've got it, let it flow.
Flaunt it, dude.
Yeah.
I can't speak.
Have you noticed it, T-Bone?
You don't have chest hair?
I don't have chest hair, and I didn't notice his.
You guys got to look at the before and after pictures of Sajayce. When he first got called up to the big leagues, what he looked like for the Cardinals versus where he's at today. My man, like, it's a full.
Well, he looked like a little kid when he first was called up. Like, he looked like he was 23 years old, which I think he is.
It's amazing.
I'm trying to find a picture, and apparently other people aren't tweeting out pictures of his chest hair, so maybe this texter is just really focused in on that.
Somebody on the text line said, no longer saggy teeth. That's right. He has removed that nickname. I've got a new nickname for him in the clubhouse.
What is it?
God, that was his nickname.
God, what is it now?
Flowy T.
I forget what it is. I don't know if that's a great one either. Coming up next, the junk drawer here on BK and Ferrario. Alex and T-Bone on BK. Did you guys see the hire that ESPN made yesterday?
I don't remember what her title was.
A new TikTok star for ESPN. This is the headline. ESPN hires viral content creator Katie Feeney to join multiple shows on the network. ESPN continues to lean into the viral content creation game with its hiring of social media star Katie Feeney. Now, for those of you like me that weren't familiar with Katie Feeney's work, I'm not super plugged in on TikTok. She is very much plugged in on TikTok. She has 7.6 million followers, Alex, on TikTok.
There's a lot of pressure to like keep up to date with my TikTok for that many people.
Yeah. There were a lot of people in our industry, Alex, that yesterday said something to the effect of, wow, this is where we've arrived as an industry when we are having TikTok stars that are taking over.
Can I ask what she does that makes it so popular? Because I just assume TikTok is people that do dances. Maybe I'm wrong in that.
There's some of that. I think it's now expanded well beyond just the dancing stuff. It's just like videos anywhere else, right? Like you see videos on your Facebook Reels where you just, whatever your algorithm is.
My algorithm is cooking. Like that's all I have on my stuff.
For a week, mine was just Savannah Banana stuff.
What?
Like I watched a Savannah Banana video, and then suddenly it was just exclusively Savannah Banana.
I thought he said just banana stuff, and I'm like, what?
No. So like previously, before I had somebody start mowing my lawn for me, it was like lawn care stuff. I have a lot of running stuff on there, so it's just like whatever your interests are, right? So there's an algorithm that she gets out there, and
it's just what, like her talking sports, or
there's a bunch of videos. I don't know. I had not prior to yesterday really been familiar with her work. Katie Feeney. But it looks like she does a little bit of everything. Like she was in Chicago and she asked people on the street, Chicago deep dish or New York style pizza.
So it's like man on the street stuff.
I think it's a little bit of everything, man.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to see what they do with this.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, people can like say all you want, like this is where the industry is going, but it's viewers and people are on social media. And so if I hire somebody who is big on social media that brings in new viewers, that's smart business. I mean, yeah, originally you say that and I'm like, man, this is where ESPN is going. We're bringing in TikTok stars. But if you're ESPN, she's got 7.8 million followers. And guess what that means? 7.8 million followers are going to start watching ESPN.
Whatever it is that she's doing. Like, to answer our colleagues in the industry that are saying this is what it's come to, yes, guys, this is where we're at, man. I'm not telling you got to love it. I don't love it. But yeah, like we post stuff on social media from our show because many of you consume, on average, 15 minutes of our show a day. Some of you, and God bless you, we appreciate it, will watch the entire show either on YouTube or you listen to it in your car or at work, whatever it may be. And we truly, truly, sincerely appreciate it. But we'll get the text sometimes, guys, you've talked about this 4 different times. Yes, correct. Because for most of our audience, they will be hearing it for the first time as they get into their car. And here in St. Louis, the average drive is about 20 minutes. And that's what they listen to. So you also have to be wherever our listeners are, which means be on social media, right? Be on digital. Have those YouTube shorts that are posted afterwards. And for Katie Feeney, that means she's going to reach an audience that ESPN does not currently have.
She has 1 million views on her unboxing a mermaid squishmallow.
Yeah, dude.
Put the head on.
I don't know why. I can't explain it.
I can go do that same thing and probably get 3 views, and all 3 would be from me.
And I don't know who's watching these or why they're watching.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters.
No, they're watching.
People are watching. They're consuming. There's clearly not everything is going to be for me, right? Mm-hmm. Not everything that the Fast Lane does is for me. Not everything the TMA does is for me. Not everything that we do is for TMA or for the Fast Lane.
I thought you were going to say for you. I was like, dude, you're in the office on these meetings, man.
So, yeah, Katie Feeney's been hired. It's a really smart hire probably for ESPN. I don't know what it's going to mean. I don't know what she's going to do there. I don't know what she's going to bring to the table. But, yes, this is absolutely where our industry is going.
She's going to do exclusive interviews with athletes. That's what it's going to be. And, again, it's smart of ESPN. She's got a video up here that's 750,000 views of her sitting down with Joey Porter Jr. before the draft. You've got a social media star who's going to be doing exclusive interviews with young, up-and-coming athletes. And it's smart of ESPN. Like, you capitalize on that stuff. Frankly, I wish I was that interesting on social media. I'm not. I'm boring. I was looking at it the other day, and I'm like, God, all I do is I post videos of us here or on the podcast and then pictures of my kids. But I'm a boring individual, you know?
That's the thing. Like, what else are you doing? Yeah. You know, we're here for 3 hours a day. We're in the office for an hour a day beforehand. We're taking our kiddos to daycare,
go to the parks,
school, and whatever beforehand. So by the time that you get in here, it's 3 o'clock. I go on a run when I get home. After that, I go pick up Luca. After that, we do something with Luca. And then I'm doing more work.
Maybe we need to do like a day in the life of BK and Ferrario.
So you could do a day, but
just
that's like one video.
We can do that.
We can do just like a week of us just filming and editing it of everything that happens. Luckily for me, my day ends at like 9:30. BK goes to like 1 o'clock in the morning. So
that's correct.
My videos are shorter.
So I watched the newest episode of Big Brother yesterday. Whew, boy, stuff is getting wild in the Big
Get your
Brother
reaction
house.
on TikTok.
Oh, that's a good idea. I could do that.
Yeah. I mean, there's an audience for
Nobody
it.
else is doing a Big Brother reaction on TikTok.
There's a lot of people doing it. Man, you are severely underestimating the interest level of Big Brother.
You are severely not understanding sarcasm.
He's Alex with T-Bone on BK. Somebody on the YouTube chat, John, said, BK, you're neglecting to mention the fact that she's really freaking hot. Listen, man, like in TV, we know how this works, right? I don't work in TV for a reason. I'm not attractive enough to work in TV. Yes, there is a lot of people that work in TV because they are attractive human beings. Like that. Yes, of course, that's how it's always been. I think that a big part of this is also that she has clearly been able to cultivate a significant audience. 7.6 million people are watching her because there's some level of talent there. I don't know what it is. I have not been one of those consumers in the past. I'll probably follow her now because she's at ESPN.
Gator wants to see a video of you running in your leotard with your headband on.
We could probably do that. Somebody said, can you imagine BK's tone on TikTok?
Oh, God.
I also just got a text from somebody. Big Brother's crazy right now.
I watched an episode of The Curse of the Power Rangers last night, a documentary. So,
who do you think at the station would be most likely to be willing to do a reality TV show podcast with me? We could do Love is Blind. We could do Big Brother.
Marsh.
Oh, I was thinking Jackson. He does movies. I could see.
Yeah, I don't think Jackson's a reality TV guy, though.
He feels like he'd be
more sophisticated.
He feels like he would be more likely to do like a prestige TV with me. Like he'd be willing to watch the latest and greatest Apple or Netflix or HBO show.
I think Marshy's probably more in line with that. Marshy seems like reality.
I could see Tim quietly being
maybe. I could see Stalter quietly being somebody that would do this.
Yeah, that's a
watching
good one.
with his wife.
That's a good one.
Suddenly he's interested in it. Like one day he's doing work while he's watching it.
Maybe
the next
Jamie
day he's
now
like,
that
all
like
right, I'll watch it out of the corner of my eye, and the next day he's like, work is over to the side.
You bring
Maybe
it up
Jamie,
and it's just
though.
background noise.
Maybe Jamie, though, because all of his kids are out of the house.
That's a good one.
So, like, Jamie's got time to see the reality TV.
We'll probably start that up. The reality TV pod.
Let me know what the other 17 podcasts you don't do.
Coming up next, what are the top 5 most watchable games this year for Mizzou and Illinois? We'll tell you here on BK and Ferrario.
Alex Ferrario with you to talk about my friends out at Rhino Shield. Darren over at Rhino Shield sent me pictures of their new changing look of the exterior of the business out at new transformation for this building at Auto Tech Auto Center in O'Fallon, Missouri. He showed me the pictures of what it looked like before, and it's a blue paint on the blue ceramic coating, I should say, on the siding, and it looks rusty, it looks old, it looks watered down, damaged, and then, of course, the new look of it now, and it's brand new filter, nice blue look on the ceramic coating on the edges, and that's what Rhino Shield provides. It provides the facelift of your business, of your home. Whatever type of exterior that you have, Rhino Shield can stick to it. Plus, it's 100% waterproof. It deflects 90% of the UV rays. It's all backed by a 25-year transferable warranty. So if you've got a business that looks old, that looks worn down, that needs a new look, then it's time to call Rhino Shield. Tell Darren Alex Ferrario sent you. He'll come out and give you the quote. He'll walk you through the process, and you'll be amazed at the work that Rhino Shield provides. 877-25-RHINO, 877-25RHINO.com.
Alex and T-Bone on BK. Dude, we are just 3 weeks away from the start of the college football season.
Hallelujah.
3 weeks away. Mizzou versus Central Arkansas Thursday, August 28th to kick off the season for my Tigers. T-Bone's Illini already ranked in the top 15 in all of college football entering the season as well, according to the newly released coaches poll. T-Bone, I saw this yesterday. My guy Gabe DeArmond over at PowerMizzou.com put together his list of the most watchable games on the Mizzou football schedule. I wanted to do the same thing with you. We'll start out with you. You'll give your Illini. I'll give my version of the Missouri Tigers. The most watchable games heading into the season. If you have 12 of them, the 5 most watchable Illinois games as ranked by Illini fan Tanner Hendrickson. Let's start out with number 5 for you.
Number 5 for me is one that's late in the year. I'm going week 13, Illinois at Wisconsin. Wisconsin, Illinois, typically the teams that Wisconsin always hovers around that 8 to 10 win range. That's kind of the program I think you want to try and inspire to be if you're Brett Bielema. And I feel like every time they play Wisconsin, it's always close. So I'm going that, Illinois at Wisconsin, as number 5 on my list.
I like it.
Number 4 for me is mostly the name recognition of the coach that's coming into town. He hasn't done squat just yet. It's homecoming week. It is Illinois versus the USC Trojans in week 5 in Champaign. That's a game. There's a couple on their schedule that can be swing games for whether they go from a team that could be college football playoff bound or a team that has a disappointing season. This game fits into it. Anytime you get Lincoln Riley coming to town, I think it just makes it better. And then you add the cherry on top of it being homecoming weekend. The third one for me is week 4, and it's because it's Illinois at Indiana. And the reason I throw this one up there is because Illinois keeps being compared to potentially be this year's Indiana, and I think it makes for great storylines. Indiana's a team that the school hates when it comes to college basketball. Let's just be honest, both of us have sucked for a long time in college football. Now both programs seem to be on the upswing. We'll see if Indiana continues that this year or not. But I think this is a game that falls into this swing category for Illinois. But I think Illinois at Indiana is the third most watchable game on their schedule.
The top 2. Now we're getting up there, T-Bone.
I think that my second one here is going to be one that some people disagree with. I'm going week 2 at the Duke Blue Devils. And the reason that I find it as the second most intriguing game of the year is because it's their first real test. It is the first time you're actually going to be able to look at Illinois and go, you are a top 12 team. You belonged where the coaches put you. Or are you going to see what we saw Illinois do the year where they, the first year Brett Bielema had the program, where they ended up winning, I think it was 7 or 8 games. I think it was 8 games. But they lost week 2 against Indiana. And they never recovered from it.
Yep, they won 8 games that year.
They should have been a 9-win team. and they had their big hiccup.
They also
in
should have
week
beat
2.
Michigan. They got screwed that year, but
They did lose that one, but the Indiana one they should really, because they had Connor freaking Bazelak at the quarterback
That
position
was a
for
rough
Indiana.
loss.
And that's why I put this game here, because it's their first real test. It's on the road. It's against Duke, who got an interesting quarterback in the transfer portal. I think that is their second most intriguing game. And then number 1 for me
Is obviously the first one of the season.
no,
Western Illinois.
It
Rivalry.
is. Some people will say our big rivalry with Northwestern, but no. It is when the Ohio State Buckeyes
Disagree with this.
come to town to take on the Fighting Illini. Look, Ohio State's in the top 2 of the coaches poll. You're in the top 12. If you're going to be a college football playoff caliber team, there's nothing more exciting than seeing another college football playoff caliber team, potentially championship contender, come into your building. I think that is their number 1 most interesting
I
game.
agree with that one. I would have had Indiana at 2 over Duke.
I would have had Indiana at 1. Here's why. I think you and Indiana are battling for that spot in the Big Ten heading into this season. Also, the timing of it, I totally agree with you, T-Bone. That makes it really compelling. It's your first Big Ten game. You're on the road going up against an opponent that got a big-time quarterback in the transfer portal. They've got a coach that has not lost anywhere he's been. I think that, to me, would be the most watchable, the number 1 most compelling game heading into the 2025 season for the Illini. Now, Ohio State could become that if you think they're going to win it. But realistically, do I think that's likely for Illinois? No, and I don't think that really changes anything about the way that I feel about the Illini this season.
I feel like, though, in the
Your
category...
list, you can have it however you want, but for me, if I was doing the Illinois list, I would have Indiana at 1.
Yeah, I would
flip them in Ohio
I feel like
State.
with the list being labeled most watchable game, I still would have Ohio State number 1 because of the name recognition.
Yeah.
But I'd put Indiana 2 over Duke. And I understand your reasoning with Duke being the first real test. I just think, like BK said, Indiana's like a playoff-esque atmosphere, especially at the time that they're matching up with each other.
Those were the 2 games that I went back and forth on at 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Because when I think most watchable, I mean, who doesn't want to watch Ohio
Yeah.
State? Even if Illinois loses to Duke and loses to Indiana,
You're still watching
just
it.
thinking of being at Illinois in Champaign, going up against Ohio State and thinking, what if they could upset them? Even if it had no implication for their playoff hopes, screw Ohio State. Okay, I hate that Big Ten program. So that's why
Ryan
it was
Day.
number 1 for me. I could get how you could get to Indiana. I just think because Duke is the first non-contest, that's why I put it there first. ahead of
T-Bone,
them.
are you going to any of these games this year?
I will be at the Illinois at Indiana game.
Nice.
I will be going to Bloomington for that game.
I feel like I want to go to a college football. I haven't been in so long.
We need to do a show trip out to
Yeah.
Columbia this year.
I feel like I want to go to one. I haven't
I was
been
thinking
to
Missouri
one in forever.
State, first year FBS.
No,
They
probably
host
not.
SMU.
We can go out to London. Just right down the street from
That's
me anytime.
FCS.
It's D1
Hey,
technically.
they're D1, man.
Sure.
We're celebrating that out of
All right.
Lindenwood. LU!
It's like a participation.
T-Bone's
Hey.
top 5 most watchable games this year for the Illini: Ohio State, Duke, Indiana, USC, and Wisconsin. That's his top 5 on the Illinois side of things. I'm going to get a lot of blowback for my Mizzou list. I'm pretty sure of that. Number 5 on my list, Alex. We start out with number 5, the most watchable Mizzou games heading into the 2025 season. Number 5 is Auburn. Here's why. It's on the road. Auburn's a great place to go watch a game if you have never been before. And they've got a big-time, relatively speaking, a big-time transfer quarterback coming in. At a minimum, Jackson Arnold should be better than whatever the hell that was that they had at the quarterback position from a year ago. They have a really good coach. Now, I've got my issues with him as a person, but he's a really good football coach. I think Auburn's going to be pretty good this season. I think that's a very, very watchable game for Mizzou. Number 4 on this list for me, a team that kicked your ass on their home field a year ago and threw us off of the scent of Mizzou ever getting back on track, Texas A&M. It's a home game this time around. I think Texas A&M is going to be really good. I have them personally making it to the college football playoff this year. I'm typically not somebody that buys in to the Aggies. I think they have a ton of talent on the defensive side of the ball this time around. I think they're going to be excellent. I've got that as my number 4 most watchable game for Mizzou. Number 3, a game that came down to the wire. A fumble that you scooped and scored with last year ultimately settled the score for you as the Tigers at Oklahoma. Right near the end of the season, second to final game of the year at Oklahoma on the road. First time that Missouri has gone to OU since the Sooners joined the SEC. Number 2 most watchable game on their schedule is the first real game of the season for the Tigers. That is at home against the Kansas Jayhawks. It is the rivalry renewed. It is the Jayhawks coming to town. It is nearly impossible to get yourself tickets to this game. They are crazy expensive. I don't think it's number one because of the game that I'm going to mention there, but in most years, it would be the number one game for Mizzou fans. Number one on my 5 most watchable games list for Mizzou this season.
I'm going to be surprised. I'm curious who you left off, because there's 2 games that I think that you're down to.
I know where
here.
he's going. I think he's picking South Carolina.
And it's the correct answer.
Yeah.
The most watchable game for this Mizzou season is Week 4, first SEC game of the year, a team that I think has a chance to battle against Mizzou if Mizzou's going to reach its ceiling to get into the college football playoff. It will likely be, just as it was in 2013, just as it was in 2014, against the South Carolina Gamecocks at home in Columbia. Last year was a devastating loss on the road in that environment. You couldn't quite come up with the stop when you absolutely needed it the most. You're going up against what I believe to be a legitimate Heisman contender in Lenora Sellers. I think he's one of the most fun, enjoyable, exciting players in the country coming into this season. That game against South Carolina, to me, is by a wide margin the single most entertaining, exciting, and most watchable game on Mizzou's schedule. So yes, that means I do not have Alabama as one of the 5 most watchable games on Missouri's schedule heading into the 2025 season. Allow me to explain. Alabama's really bleeping good. I don't expect Mizzou to win that game, and I don't know how close it's going to be. End of story.
Yeah, Alabama's still fun to watch.
Yeah, I was going to say it's kind of the Ohio State thing, though, for me. Like, I wouldn't have it at 1. I had South Carolina as number 1. You and I are in the same line of thinking because you have the most sellable quarterback right now in the SEC coming to Columbia. I want to watch that. I would have had Alabama, and I did have Alabama number 2 because it's still Alabama, and by that time of the season, you're hoping that you're pushing as an undefeated team,
5-0.
That's why I feel like it's the second most watchable game.
Okay.
And then
if you are 5-0 and you're going into that game against Alabama, like if they're also having a good start to the season, you might see something crazy. Like you could see College Game Day in Columbia because they will have already beaten Georgia in that scenario.
And
you can't watch. It's not on your list.
I had you're not allowed to watch. You're not even allowed to talk about it that week. I had A&M as 3 on the list because of what you mentioned in terms of the rivalry from last year.
Such a big one.
I had Kansas at 4 and then Oklahoma at 5.
That's how I had my list.
Yeah.
I left
Kansas
Auburn
is
off.
still fun, but
I think Auburn was just on the fringe for me. But because they don't have the same hype around them going into the year as these other schools, and not named Kansas because I don't think there's much hype around Kansas, but it's a rivalry renewed, so I can understand how you can put that one on your list. But I would have Alabama there. To me, they would be number 1 for me. I had them ahead of, number 2, because I think South Carolina, to your guys' point, they are a team that's up and coming. They feel like what Mizzou was last year. I would have Alabama, though, in that top 5.
Yeah, Alabama's going to be a fun game. If you go, Mizzou's got a really fun schedule this year.
Yeah.
The non-con gives you at least one where you've got that KU matchup. The actual conference slate gives you South Carolina and Alabama and Texas A&M at home this year. You've got road games against, I think, really solid programs in Auburn, Vandy, and Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. Those are kind of your peer programs right now. Vandy's frisky, man. They get Diego Pavia coming back this season for like his 27th year of college football eligibility. That defense was really solid a year ago. I think they've got a good coach in place with Clark Lee. That's a program that's, I wouldn't say on the rise, but they're tougher to go up against in any given week than they have been in previous seasons. They're kind of closer to where they were at the end of the James Franklin era than what they had been prior to Clark Lee.
All right, now time for my top 5 Lindenwood games this year in their first official season in D1. Number 1 on the list.
Coming up next are Herrera and Burleson, 2 players that'll be here for at least the next 3 seasons to talk about it here at BK and Ferrario. alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK. You guys think that the Cardinals have it bad. Imagine being a Yankees fan right now. That team's a disaster.
What are you talking about? They're the Yankees. T-Bone didn't give me a warning, and I took the last bite of the Belvita. And those things are so dry, it's hard to chew. I'm going to need a second, guys.
I'll turn your mic off. I got you.
All right, Alex is back.
I'm back.
That was amazing. So Alex just took a bite of food, literally 5 seconds, not even, before we came back on the air. Big no-no. Still chewing.
This is the bad part about the implants that you have. The food just gets stuck there for a while.
So the New York Yankees have some issues. Their beat writers on Foul Territory today. He's talking about their lack of fundamentals. T-Bone, you've seen this. They're making errors everywhere. And I'm not just talking about defensively, like actual errors defensively. Also, fundamentally as base runners, they're horrible. I think it was somebody called them a bunch of drunk idiots as they run the bases last year, and that kind of fits. They look like that. And then their beat writer was just on Foul Territory saying that there was a lot of concern from opposing scouts that Jake Bird had been run into the ground in the first few months in Colorado, and the Yankees, quote, ignored industry-wide concerns about him. Jake Bird today has been optioned to AAA after being traded to the Yankees less than a week ago. So, yeah, that's where the Yankees are at as they continue to fade in the playoff mix. So, Alex, as you look at the Cardinals right now, thinking about their future, we talked earlier today, gave some extended thoughts on the runway season that is now becoming this opportunity is hard to find for some of the runway players, such as Jordan Walker, for example. When you think about players that are going to be here 3 to 5 seasons from now, how many players currently in the Cardinals lineup would you put into that category?
Okay, so I'm going to put Victor Scott there.
Okay. You're certain of it. You could write it in pen. Mm-hmm. Victor Scott will be a starting outfielder for the Cardinals in 3 years.
Yep, because like T-Bone mentioned, they value defense, and you have nothing else in your system up to that level. I will put Masyn Winn.
T-Bone, do you agree with the Victor Scott one?
I would not put him up there.
Okay.
Okay, well, maybe you guys should go then first if you want me to just shut up.
No, go ahead.
No.
I want to tell you who else I don't
I'm kind of offended.
Well, sorry. All right. You want to hug
I was just curious. It's okay to have different thoughts.
I wouldn't because I think they overvalue his defense. I'm not sure his bat's going to come along to be here 3 years from now. That's not saying I'm giving up on him today, but I wouldn't personally put him there in pen.
Yeah. Okay. You said Masyn Winn would be your second
Winn,
one? Okay.
Herrera, Burleson.
I would have Herrera, Burleson, and end of list. I'm not convinced Wynn's there yet. And I know I said earlier that I would bet on him, but if you get to a spot near the Cardinals and you believe Weatherholt can play shortstop, well,
if Wynn's not in there, I can't put Burleson in there.
Yeah, I think Burleson's bat's better, though, and I think that's why it plays. I mean, as we're seeing now, it's very hard to find and develop bats.
This team values defense.
Well, it's time for him to quit living in the old, but, I mean, at some point they can't just run out this, we're going to be great defensively while we don't hit, because that gets you as far as they've gone this year.
Can I be full disclosure real quick?
You have 0?
I'm not positive I know of a player currently on the roster that will be here 3 years from now. I'm not willing to write anybody necessarily in pen. Now, that doesn't mean I don't think any of these guys will or should be here in 3 years. But if the Cardinals got a great offer this offseason for Alec Burleson, do I think they would completely shut it down? I don't think they can. I don't think you're in that spot right now. If you got a great offer for Masyn Winn, do I think they could completely shut that down? Not really, no. Do I think they could just completely shut down any offer for Ivan Herrera? He'd probably be the one that I'm most likely to do so for, but I'm not totally sure what his long-term position is for you. And if you got, I don't know, I'll use his name because we've mentioned it earlier today. If the Twins called you and said, hey, we'll give you Joe Ryan for Ivan Herrera, and Joe Ryan says, I'm willing to sign a contract extension with the St. Louis Cardinals, are you shutting that down?
I think I would make the trade, but I would try and steer them to somebody else first.
Of course. Agreed. I think Herrera is the guy that has maybe this is the thing with Herrera that I'm doing here. I don't think you have anybody else in your system currently that has the specific skill set that Ivan Herrera has. Right-handed hitter, high average, high on base, legit slug potential. I'm not sure who else has that package right now in your system. Because if you look at it on the left side of things, you've got like 6 or 7 different bats that get on base at a pretty good clip, that hit for decent power and hit for a decent average. So if I trade any 1 or 2 of them, I can make that up with others. I don't think I have anybody else that can replace what Herrera is other than Contreras, but he's older, and I don't know what he's going to be 2 or 3 years from now.
Here's my thought process behind it. We talked about how the organization has been cheap, and I don't think that's going to change for 3 years. And the guys that I listed are cost-controlled players that fill spots that this team knows that they value.
I think if I was doing the likely scenario, if I I'm not writing them in pen, but I'm pretty sure I can write them in pencil, and I don't think I'm going to have to cross it out and or erase it. I think Ivan Herrera will be here in 3 years. I think Alec Burleson will be here in 3 years. I think Masyn Winn will be here in 3 years. I think Victor Scott will be here in 3 years. I think Brendan Donovan will be here in 3 years. That's probably the end of the list that I'm comfortable with right now. I think J.J. Weatherholt will be here in 3 years, but he's not currently on the roster. That's probably it.
Interesting that none of us put Walker on there.
I have no idea.
Yeah, he's such a swing candidate. I mean, he could easily, within, I don't know if 2 months is fair, but by this point next year, he could have easily gone to the category of absolutely write him in pen, he is not going anywhere, or he could totally be the guy that falls off the board and you say, yeah, it's time to use him as trade bait.
Yeah.
That's how much the range of outcomes is different for him.
I mean, the matter of fact is we started this segment. You're right. You can't put anybody in pen because nobody is untouchable on this team. Like, I can make reasonings as to why Herrera is not untouchable. But the team doesn't want to spend a lot of money, and the team's going to go for cheaper players right now, and you've got these guys in the organization. So that's why, like, as close to writing in pen as I can, I think those are the guys that you're probably writing down because they fill spots that are critical to the front office's view of how the organization is run in terms of defense at a specific position. And they're also cheap, cost-controlled players. And that's why I look at Winn, I look at Scott, I look at Burleson, I look at Herrera, and I say those 4 guys are going to be a part of this team in 3 years.
That would be my bet. My bet would be that they will be here. I also, if we got a report this offseason that said, hey, the Cardinals are listening on offers for Masyn Winn and Alec Burleson, and they're not going to trade them just willy-nilly, but they're listening on offers, and if they get blown away by a starting pitcher that is available because they made these guys open out in the market, they'll at least consider making that kind of a move. It wouldn't shock me, you know? That's the kind of thing that if you're in, and this is what I'm most interested in, like, for all of the doom and gloom and the frustration level that absolutely exists and is deserved surrounding the St. Louis Cardinals, I am fascinated to see what Chaim Bloom truly values. We don't know the answer to that yet. We keep saying, like, they value defense. They value all he does. Mo used to. I have no clue if that's what Chaim Bloom values or not. No idea. I could look back to what he did while he was in Boston and, like,
tell you now,
I'm not even sure what else he values from that experience because so much of it was trying to overhaul the roster to get to where they are today, where he was trying to build around guys like Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer and these guys that are now coming up to the major league system. So I truly don't know what he's going to value and which pieces he's going to build around. It's going to be a really compelling offseason. Because they have to, they no longer have a choice. Now they have to sort through some of these options. They will have to be active, even if they prefer not to. Because now you've got to do something.
And the thing that makes me fascinated there, because now the more that we've been talking through this, I think I'd remove Burleson from my list. And I think the only guy I'd put there is Herrera. Because I actually think his position long term is left field, and probably. I think he can probably give you Nuke Bar-esque defense out there, but hit like 290 and have good slug from the right side. But the thing that makes this interesting and makes it challenging for Chaim Bloom this offseason is he's also got he's also kind of handicapped by some of what he can do. Because I think third base is blocked for the next 2 years. I think Contreras is blocking first base for 2 years. That's why I've suddenly kind of pulled Burleson back, because the more I was thinking, I was like, okay, Burleson can be in your outfield and they can transition into that starting first baseman role, because I think he can be like your Josh Naylor. But the problem is, if I'm stuck with Contreras for 2 years, well, now I just keep creating this logjam in the outfield with Burley and Herrera, and then if I believe that Walker's going to be here, I mean, you could do that as well, but I think they would continue to run with more flexibility, and I would prefer to think of guys more from a actual position rather than just saying here's a DH. I think that's what makes it so tough is Heim's also got these two things that are blocking two positions for them in the infield, which then creates the logjam when you talk about bringing Weatherholt up here, right? Now you have Weatherholt with Donovan, with Winn, with Sajacy. What do you do with all of these pieces? And I think that's where maybe there's a piece like Winn, for example. You look at it and go, I think I've written him in pencil, but if I'm going to get Weatherholt up here, it's not like you can just sit him down in AAA for 2 years and wait things out. Then I may have to move this guy no matter what.
That's why you have to figure out what to do with Arenado. No, this is a breaking point time. We're getting very close to that, where I do think putting him on waivers should be at least under consideration. I know I put that on social media yesterday, and people laughed at it. I don't find that to be funny at all. I think it's absolutely something this team should consider. I don't know that they will, but man, if somebody picks him up off of waivers, they take on the full freight of the contract. If he's going to say no to 25 teams in Major League Baseball, if you tried to trade him there, it severely limits what you're able to do. And ultimately, the value in trading Arenado at this point is not in getting some kind of a huge return. It's A, opening up that roster spot, the playing time that exists at third base, and B, getting out from underneath at least some of the money. And if somebody picks him up off of waivers, you can actually make it work to where they have the entire contract on their team. You get nothing back, but
I just don't believe a team's going to pick him up and all that money, which is why I think if you're talking about the breaking point, I think they need to come to terms with buying him out.
Well, that would just be there is no buyout for them. It would just be a true release.
I think that's where you're at because of the log jam. If you're willing to do waivers, then I think you need to come to terms with, we just need to release them and eat the money.
I think it's something they have to consider this offseason. It's a sunk cost. You're paying it no matter what.
Yeah.
And the truth is, you can get better production from elsewhere right now compared to what he's giving you. And if you're going into a rebuild, if that's what this is, there's no reason to have Nolan Arenado here.
Yeah.
There's just not.
Yeah.
It sucks. I hate saying that, but it's true. So we'll see how they end up handling that. All right, NFL Quick Hitters coming up next year on 101 ESPN.
Taryn Hendrickson here with a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Game 2 of the Cardinals' 3-game set against the Dodgers is tonight. 9:10 will be first pitch. Miles Michaelis will be on the mound for St. Louis. The Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, time for some NFL quick hitters here on 101 ESPN. Some big news earlier today, a contract extension. Somebody actually got a contract extension done, Alex, and it did not even take a holdout. Kyren Williams, a 3-year, $33 million extension with the LA Rams, St. Louis native. It includes $23 million guaranteed. T-Bone, you are a resident Rams fan. Despite the move to Los Angeles, you remained, they had your allegiance.
Had the shirt on yesterday.
What do you think about the extension? 3 years, $33 million for Kyren Williams, your running back, after selecting a running back in the second round a couple of years ago.
I like it. I know what you're trying to do there, but I like the deal. I mean, he's continued to be effective. He's dealt with some injuries in the past, and that was part of their thinking for taking Blake Corum, just to make sure that they felt like they had a good backup in place. I love this deal. It's not too expensive. I think I saw it makes him like the 7th highest paid running back in the league. He's been very effective for them. I love the contract extension.
Wasn't he a hold-in? Didn't he do like a hold-in at the early portion of
I think they kind of eliminated those.
Did they?
The NFLPA, you guys probably seen this with the Pablo Torre stuff. It's come under some scrutiny. One of the things that they were scrutinized for was the hold-in stuff that they were doing with the
we've
fake
seen like
injuries.
5 or 6 people where they're like, oh, this is a hold-in where he's showing up to camp, but he's not practicing.
Yeah, I think those are mostly over now, but yeah, Kyren Williams, 3-year, $33 million extension. Seems like a good deal to me. I don't see really much of a downside.
So does the James Cook deal come in close to that then?
I would think he'll be a little more.
I think he'll be more.
Yeah. Not by a ton.
Yeah.
I mean, running backs just don't get paid a lot anymore. Next thing up here as we go with some NFL quick hitters here on BK and Ferrario. Jets and new quarterback Justin Fields are preaching patience amid camp struggles. I don't know if you guys have seen any of the numbers coming out of Jets camp thus far. It has not been pretty for Justin Fields. He's been completing about 40 to 50% of his passes in training camp thus far. Scale of 1 to 10, how much do you care about this?
3, 2. Like, I don't know. I personally, like, I don't know if training camp is the perfect measurement of if a quarterback's going to be good or not in the season. Like, does it look bad? Absolutely, especially if you're the Jets, but got to be an improvement from what you had last year, right, with Rodgers?
I would give it a 2. I do not care about this. I think we know that Justin Fields is not overly accurate as a passer. It's not a surprise. I also know he can run for 1,000 yards if he's a starting quarterback from week 1 up until the end of the regular season. So does it matter? I mean, I guess, yeah, it's a reminder that Justin Fields is not overly great as a pocket passer. How much does that matter? Not much at all.
Yeah, I think I'm with you guys, 2, 3. I also think it's also the process of learning, like, the new weapons that you're around if you're him. Now, granted, he did play with Williams, right, in college? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
Wilson.
Or Wilson. Sorry, Wilson. So, like, there's that. And, like, to your point, like, he's just not a pocket passer. Why did the Bears always start, like, 1-5 with Justin Fields as their quarterback and then play good in the second half? Because they tried to have him throw the football instead of saying, you know what, let's have him run a lot. Let's use his legs. If you use him appropriately and use him as a running first quarterback, I'm not saying you're going to win a lot of football games, but at least you're going to use him in the proper way to make things a little bit easier.
The bigger problem in camp, did you see the video of Caleb Williams trying to hit the net with the 3 pockets in it?
Another one of those things I
them?
don't really care about, but yeah, it's not a good look.
It's not a good look at all. And then watching him walk away frustrated, it's like, oh, good. Bears are in good shape.
All right, last thing that I wanted to get to here. Sean Payton is a big fan of Bo Nix. I don't know if you guys saw this quote. Sean Payton said, quote, I honestly think Bo Nix is going to be one of the top quarterbacks within the next 2 years. I think he's going to be a superstar.
Sean Payton's the head coach of who?
The Denver Broncos.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, Sean, I'm not seeing it.
Well, we'll find out, Sean.
Do you guys think he has that kind of upside?
No.
I think his rushing ability makes him a little bit more intriguing, but I don't think his passing makes him that type of a quarterback.
I think he'll always fall anywhere. I think his ceiling is probably fringe top 10, not one of the, like, top 5. I think he could always be like in that Herbert category when he's at his best.
I was thinking Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I could say, and I would put Baker kind of in that same category.
And I think
Herbert.
both of them are kind of the same spot.
I don't think there's any scenario where I look at him as being better than Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, most likely. That's kind of the top five-ish. You want to throw Hurts into that category? Sure. That next tier is, I think, where you at least begin thinking, could he fit into this criteria? That top five to me is the superstars. Mm-hmm. Those are the guys that are the best of the best right now. I don't think he's ever getting into that criteria. Could he be a top 10 guy? Maybe. Back into the top 10. I mean, I think Baker Mayfield, you could have made a pretty convincing argument a year ago that Baker Mayfield was the top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Jared Goff, I think, was a top 10 quarterback in the NFL over the last couple of years. I think Bo Nix could do that. But I don't think that's in the same criteria as Burrow or Mahomes, Lamar, Josh Allen. Those guys are a different breed.
He's not a superstar.
Yeah, he's not in that criteria for me. All right, coming up next, we'll hit the rewind here on BK and Ferrario.
Hey, this is Tim McKernan. Look, we've all been dealing with feeling the heat this summer. And if your windows aren't doing their job, your cool air is going right out the window, literally. That's why now is the time to call Universal Windows Direct for their buy two windows, get two free offer. And the best part is you'll pay no interest over 5 years. Their super spacer technology will keep the hot air out and the cold air in. Call 314-334-2522 or visit universalwindowsdirect.com to schedule your free in-home estimate today.
Save big money on your next staining project right now at Menards. Pittsburgh's Ultra Advanced semi-transparent exterior stain and sealant in one can be applied to damp wood, allowing you to clean the surface and stain in one day. Save big on Ultra Advanced exterior stain and sealant. Plus, don't forget to check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK. If you guys missed anything from today's show, be sure to check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, and the free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. It's all presented by
Schaefer Door Company.
That 101 ESPN app, free to download, super easy to use, and it's sponsored by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. I'd give us today, given what we're working with, solid 7.2 for the show.
7.2.
7.2 for the show that we put on today for the good
some
folks
good
out
jokes, some good content, no tone.
JR in studio.
Yeah, I think I'd go about 8 because we had a blues segment today. Go about an 8. 8.1.
That bumps it up immediately.
Yeah, 8.1.
What were we going to be if we didn't have JR?
7.1.
Okay, so we're right around the same
I
age?
think it bumped it up an entire
Start telling them
number.
about football. I'd make it 8-5.
Yeah. Ooh, okay.
Good show today, I would say.
Yeah,
I mean, for
would too.
the depressing start of the show, how all of us just are terrible Cardinals fans, I think it was a good way for us to end it.
Let's end it where we started it, which is talking about the Cardinals, the win last night in LA.
6-9.
That game rocked, man. Everything. If I just set aside all of the other, what this season has been, where they're at, what the future looks like, everything else, if I just told you about my experience, Alex, watching between 9 p.m. and midnight last night in front of my television, it was great. The vibes were awesome. The atmosphere at Dodger Stadium was amazing last night. You had a couple of young guys coming through with big hits. Herrera with the homer, Winn with the homer, the big play by Newton right field, a great outing by Sonny Gray, JoJo coming in a big spot, his new role as the closer. Like, all of it was amazing to watch. But that's if you set aside everything else. What I actually felt after that game came to an end was envy and rage and just pure jealousy that this is what it's like every night to watch the Dodgers. This is what it's like every night right now to watch the Phillies or the Padres or the Brewers or the Cubs, as they get to experience that kind of joy when their team wins, and we don't have that here in St. Louis. Because it doesn't matter right now.
For me, it's just a state of frustration. And you just said it. The games just don't matter. You know, like, they should matter at this time. We should be talking about meaningful baseball. Even if they weren't a realistic playoff team, at least we could talk about the chance of them getting into the playoffs. But after the sell-off and kind of what we've seen since June, frustration just builds because we're here for the third straight year. And as I said in the open, I think my frustration really is built up with the state of the Cardinals and how they don't have a direction. I'm watching all of these teams that have a direction. They have a guiding North Star of where they're going to end up. And the Cardinals, I can sit with a shoulder shrug emoji saying, what are they going to look like next year? What are they going to look like in 2 years? Because they don't have a direction of what they're being led.
Cardinals back in action this evening, going up against a righty in Emmett Sheehan. He is a young starter for the LA Dodgers, one of many that they have within their system. Should be an interesting one for the Cardinals. They've got Miles Michaelis on the mound. Do you guys think the Cardinals will win tonight against the Dodgers and Emmett Sheehan?
Emmett Sheehan sounds like a guy that the Cardinals have not seen before, which means lack of offense. I will say they lose 5-1.
I'll say they win, and what will add to our frustration is they will win the season series against the Dodgers. 'Cause didn't they take 2 or 3 from them here in St. Louis?
I think they get a win tonight. Left-handed hitters are going to have a good night against Emmett Sheehan, the righty. And I think you end up getting a good game tonight out of Jordan Walker, which just further frustrates every fan that didn't get the chance to see him last night. For Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. Ollie Marmol going to join us, we believe, in studio on Friday, by the way. So be sure to stay tuned for that. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. The Fast Lane's coming up next here on 101 ESPN.